up, folks? Welcome back to another J Talks podcast here today. We are back with another one. Plenty of great questions asked pre-live stream. I appreciate all you guys for that. As you guys all know, we'll let the people know we are live, and we shall begin. There are a lot of actually very good questions that were asked for today's pod. So give me a second here. Let me let the people know. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoy these podcasts. It gets us up in the algorithm. The more likes, the better, folks. And it will also result in more interactive podcasts with more of you guys asking me questions, right? More variation, more minds working together to construct a very fruitful conversation. So please hit the like button, folks. And if you're new, it's your first time around these parts of YouTube, make sure to hit that sub button if you enjoy as well. It's greatly appreciated. So let me let the people know we are live real quick. We shall begin. All right, let the people know. So let us begin with these questions. So there are a lot of questions actually on this one, which I greatly appreciate. All right. What's going on, Sean? Thanks for coming in, brother. My day's pretty well. Hope yours as well as well. So, but let us begin these questions. A lot of good ones. So the first power scaling question here is, what do you think would happen if Haku didn't die and joined Konoha as a good guy and was able to train more and hone his skills and tap into his potential? So this is an interesting question, right? I can only more so give a rational argument because empirically there isn't much on him after his death, clearly. So we can only try to deduce what his potential might be. So this would be my argument. So as far as Haku's potential as a shinobi, that would be hard to deduce since he died early on and we only have limited empirical evidence for him. However, rationally, I would deduce he would become a formidable shinobi. And to me, he would be in the middle of the pack as far as the power scaling totem pole is concerned, right? Because I doubt he would ever reach levels similar to that of Kakashi in the War Arc or, the upper echelon characters like ACM or Naruto. And here's the reason for this. Narratively, Haku most likely wouldn't be as important as he was in the Land of Waves, right? And some commonalities that we can see that actually happened in the timeline were people like Neji, after fighting Naruto, his narrative importance diminished greatly. Rock Lee against Gaara, after that point, his narrative importance also diminished greatly. And it would be the same thing for Haku, right? His peak or climactic moment was when he was protecting Zabuza and they had this very emotionally appealing moment between the two, and etc. After that, there wouldn't be much more use for him from outside looking in. Maybe the writers could come up with something, but this is just me presupposing that they take the same route as Neji and Rock Lee. So because of this, he would never reach the peak of the power scaling totem pole, essentially. He would never reach the peak of the power scaling totem pole. But again, like I said, this is my assessment, and this could be vastly different depending on your perspective and subjective lens. But I think my argument's quite concrete, and I think it's a high possibility of what would most likely take place. So, but that's a good question, so thanks for your question. Let's continue on. Alright, so could Hanzo defeat the third Raid Kage? So Hanzo is always someone that's brought up, right? And the problem with him is his, I guess you could say, ambiguity as far as his power scaling is concerned, right? So let's go ahead and break down what most likely would take place here. So I believe a solid rational argument can be constructed with some basic power scaling assessments we can make based on the empirical evidence provided on both opponents here, right? So Hanzo is blatantly superior to the Sannin during the Second Great Ninja War, and Jiraiya's reaction to learning of his death at the hands of Pain supports the notion that Hanzo in his prime is more than likely significantly superior to any Sannin even presently to some arbitrary degree. Okay, so I think that's a safe assumption we can make based off Jiraiya's reaction to his death, right? It's not like he reacted to it and said, oh, wow, that guy once was stronger than me and now he's dead. But instead he was like, holy shit, Hanzo was defeated? I didn't think that was possible, right? So even now, it seems that he is implying that he would still lose if it was a one-on-one battle, at least, bare minimum, right? So continuing on. Now the fourth Raid Kage is considered around Sannin level based on the similar degree of success he had against Edo Madara when comparing his his success to Tsunade, right? I would argue Tsunade had slightly more success than the fourth Hokage because one, he had Onuki amping his stats with his gravity manipulation jutsu, whatever it's called exactly, and two, because Tsunade started to lead the charge, right, when she activated her 100 ceilings. So that supports the premise that Tsunade had slightly more success. You could argue that the fourth Hokage had similar success, right? So from this, you can extrapolate some relativity with the Raikage being slightly inferior to Sannin level opponent, right? Now, when comparing the third and fourth Raikage, you could simply extrapolate the fact that the third was relative to the Eight Tails, with the Eight Tails being stated as the only entity to ever give the third Raikage trouble, right? So the fourth scales somewhere above Killer B, who is the Eight Tails Jinchuriki, with Jinchurikis being stated to be stronger than the tailed beasts individually. So, hence, combining all these assessments, you can conclude Hanzo scales above any one Sannin, right? Who scales above the fourth Hokage, who scales above the third Hokage. Hence, through transitivity, you can scale Hanzo above the third Hokage pretty safely, and conclude that he would most likely defeat the third Hokage. So that would be my scaling for that. What's up, Luis? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in, brother. Make sure to hit the like button, by the way, folks, if you guys come in. It gets us up in the algorithm. It's greatly appreciated as well. But that was a good question. Let's continue on. All right, Sean had a question. Let me answer that first. Since he is a member, by the way, folks, think about becoming a member. I am constructing a new Discord and things of that nature. So there's perks if you become a member. You know, there's perks to it for sure. Give me a second here, folks. I see that my live is very blurry. I apologize for that. I'm not sure why that is. Give me a second. Maybe I can adjust that real quick. Let's see here. So this looks better, aesthetically speaking. Give me a second and I'll continue on. I think what I'm going to try to do is... look at it again. Appreciate it, Sean. Give me a second, folks. I think what I'm going to do... Give me a second. Let me look at the stream through a different lens. Okay, so on here looks fine. So maybe it is fine. Okay. If it is really blurry, folks, let me know, and I'll make an adjustment. Through here looks fine, from what I can see. It's just on my shade it looks blurry. Okay, let's continue on though. Continuing on with the next question. So Sean's question was, what if Kabuto and Yamato had a 1v1 fight on Tenchi Bridge? That's a good question. So if they were to scrap in their respective forms at that point in time, how would that go exactly? It's tough to assess. We can assess safely that bare minimum at that point in time, Kabuto was part 1 Kakashi level, or at least slightly inferior. You could make a rational argument that he has improved since then. Let me get rid of these settings, sorry, it's getting in the way. That he has improved since then, so I would say he's probably around part 1 Kakashi level. You could even argue he's above that. Now, it's hard to quantify where exactly he would be placed as far as power scaling. Now, Yamato, I would argue, is inferior to Kakashi. He seems to kind of concede that notion just based off their interactions. I think it would be a contentious matchup. The best way, safest way, would just be to deduce and analyze their arsenals. Yamato has wood style. That's basically all he really has. He probably has enhanced regeneration because he's a poor man's Hashirama, obviously. So from that, I would extrapolate. He'd probably be durable in that fight, but considering Kabuto's abilities, I might lean towards Kabuto. I think he's more crafty and deceptive. And I would argue they're probably around, they're probably at bare minimum relative. I would argue Kabuto's probably superior. That's all speculation, but based off the empirical evidence provided, that's what I would deduce. So, what's going on, R Baller? Would you debate Truth from Tokyo? I'm not familiar with Truth from Tokyo. All right, let's continue on with the questions pre-live stream. By the way, folks, feel free to ask any questions here. Any questions at all. And make sure to hit the like button, by the way, folks. And again, let me know if the resolution of the image If it decreases, let me know. I'll try to make an adjustment to the stream. Oh, Truth. Okay, I know Truth on Discord. Possibly. We could discuss a debate in the future. But I'm going to be more calculated in my approach. I'm not going to debate right after this stream or anything like that. I'm going to be prepared. So it'd have to be planned ahead of time. I learned that from my L I took to 6. Right? I should have prepared for that. All right, let's continue on. Next question. This is one of the most contentious ones. Minato or Itachi? So this is a tough one to answer because of the contentious nature, the ambiguous nature of this matchup. So, admittedly, like I said, this consider. Well, shout out to Sean for the $5. Appreciate you, brother. That deserves a. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate the any donations at all. Greatly appreciated. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. There you go. Donations, W's. All right. Let's continue on. Continuing on with the next question. Again, thanks for the $5, Sean. I appreciate that. So Minato Itachi, where was I? So here's a solid argument for Minato winning, right? Minato never really used Sage Mode, right? During his time as Hokage when he was alive in the manga. Based on how easily he used it as an Edo, we can rationally deduce that it would be easy for him to use it if he were alive, right? I mean, he literally did it in mere seconds. He just blinked and he was in Sage Mode. So take that into consideration. This would amp his reaction times beyond that of the ones he had against the 4th Hokage, right? Which I think is a safe assumption. I mean, Naruto himself stated his reaction times actually amp his Sage Mode amps his reaction times even more so than his KCM, which is why he used it against the 3rd Hokage in the first place. So he acknowledged that. So that's a considerable increase in reaction time to someone that already has what? Relativistic to light speed reaction times when you take into account his ability to react to the 4th Hokage's full speed, right? Which is incredible. So imagine even a quicker reaction time. All right, so continuing on. Simply put, because of this, Itachi would be simply too slow to react or to get off a Genjutsu in time to take out Minato. I would argue that he wouldn't even be able to fire his synapses in time because Minato's too fast. He's flying, rising his ass away from the vicinity and probably slit his throat before Itachi knew what hit him, based off this scaling that I'm using as far as speed is concerned. So that would be my deduction. I would argue there are arguments for Itachi as well. You could argue Obito was more willing to fight fucking Minato as a 14-year-old than he was willing to fight Itachi as a grown man when he said, you know, now that Itachi's out of the way, I have no threat, so now I can comfortably attack the leaf. You could somehow make a rational argument and deduce, well, maybe he thinks Itachi's superior to himself. Again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's a possible argument that you could use for Itachi, and hence scale him above Minato, at least prime Itachi above Minato. And then you could use the KCM scaling when he fought KCM Naruto during the time as an Edo. You could use that for scaling as far as speed is concerned. Again, it's all contentious anyway. There's arguments for both sides to be had, and that's definitive. There's definitely arguments for both sides. So let's continue on though. What's going on, McLegend? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you coming in, brother. You're the best, bro. Appreciate that. Luis, appreciate that, brother. All right, so this is an interesting question that someone asked. In terms of most intelligent, where would you rank Amato in Naruto Boruto overall? This is a good question. I definitely thought about it for a little bit. So this is my assessment of his intelligence. Edmund, yeah, Itachi is strong, but he caps around the level of pain. Fair enough. It's a fair assessment, I agree. All right, so Amato can arguably take the top spot with the technological feats he's accomplished, right? So let's just talk about it, right? This is some of the preposterous things he's done, right? I'm almost at a loss for words because of the things he's accomplished. So let's break down what he's done. He's created cyborgs that surpass even pre-nerf Naruto and Sasuke, excluding Baryon mode, of course. He created Code, Daemon, who are stated to be above Jigen, which is fucking ridiculous. I mean, Naruto and Sasuke at their best, when taken away in Baryon mode, could not contend with Jigen. And he's created these synthetic replications of, you know, shinobi that are beyond that of even Jigen, who fucked up Naruto and Sasuke, right? So continuing on. And he successfully, synthetically, perfectly replicated a karma and embedded it into Kawaki. That's fucking preposterous. He was able to successfully do that. And from the newest chapter of Boruto, it seems to be a perfect replication because Ida, right? So this is something that you only know if you read the latest chapter. Ida can enchant and manipulate the will of any non-Otsutsuki entity. But it's been deduced by Shikamaru that he cannot. That Ida cannot manipulate Kawaki. What does that mean? It means that Amato essentially created a perfect replication synthetically of Otsutsuki karma DNA, or however you want to put it, which is fucking ridiculous. So this guy has Otsutsuki DNA and has the potential to be maybe as strong as Ishiki, if not stronger. That's fucking preposterous, and that's what Amato has engineered himself. Right? He's done some preposterous things. He's ridiculously intelligent. Right. So continuing on though. This is what I would say as far as a critique to Amato's intelligence. His intuition isn't very good. Think about it. He created these preposterously strong beings, but yet they don't pay attention to him. But yet they willfully are willing to kill him. Code's willing to fucking kill his creator. How come Amato didn't think ahead of time? If he's so smart, why didn't he think ahead of time and avoid that? Why didn't he make them less sentient and more so obedient? More so like a mechanical device rather than something with will. You know, that's a miscalculation from Amato that I argue someone like Shikamaru wouldn't make. So I think there's departments in which he takes the top spot. I think like scientific and probably mathematical concepts, he probably takes the cake as far as the most intelligent of all time in the Naruto verse based off his feats currently. But as far as like intuition, maybe you could call it street smarts. He's not the strongest in the strongest tool in the shed. So that's my deduction. Again, either way, overall, he's top 5 bare minimum. Overall intelligence, top 5, easy. Alright, let's continue on. Model logic, yeah. Itachi would no diff Minato, I don't know about that. I'm trying to convince someone that Rinnegan Sasuke beats White Mask Obito. I never thought that I would need to do that. Simply put, Rinnegan Sasuke was able to at least threaten someone preposterously strong, exponentially times stronger than White Mask Obito. As simple as that. It's not even a debate. Sage Mode Naruto is stated to have surpassed all his predecessors, and Edo Itachi, as Edos are weaker than their live counterparts, is brawling KCM Naruto, who's way stronger than Sage Naruto. Well, he was more so stated to surpass Minato's speed, right? And you could argue that KCM Naruto was fatigued. He did have several clones throughout the Shinobi Alliance sections. It wasn't like it was just him one-on-one, fully solely focused on Itachi, right? And he wasn't exactly having optimal control over it at that point. So you could argue that as well. Yellow Flash was a little over 4th Hokage speed during Second War, I believe. Yes. Yeah, Rinnegan Sasuke one-shots White Mask Obito. Yeah. The fact that White Mask Obito was able to be successfully countered by Kakashi and KCM2 Naruto says more than enough. And that's people without 6-pass, chakra. And someone with 6-pass chakra is threatening fucking Juubito, who's just stronger than everyone else in the battlefield. I mean, it's pretty clear who's stronger. So they don't think that Sasuke scales to Jubi Madara for some reason. He scales to some degree. Maybe he's not equivalent. You could argue that he's not, on equal terms as far as power scaling, if you want to give like a numerical value, but he's relative enough to cause, to threaten him, at least when working in conjunction with Naruto. So that's for sure. And White Mask Obito would be a deer in headlights against fucking Juubito. So someone asked about One Piece. I gotta admit, I haven't read it yet, so I couldn't really give you much on that. Most One Piece characters beat down any Naruto character slower than KCM. Again, yeah, I'm not knowledgeable on that. So, by the way, folks, any donations are appreciated, and your super chat questions will be prioritized as well. So just keep that in mind. Continuing on, though. This next question, someone asked me, I think it was Blind, Sage Mode Madara versus Juubito. So this is an interesting topic. Juubito is an interesting character to power scale because of his fluctuating power level. Right, his mental nerve is clear. I mean, his conviction is lacking. His resolve is decreasing as he sees Naruto's conviction that mirrors his own. Right, one day, once in the past, when he had the same kind of conviction. So I would argue his power level is constantly fluctuating. So this would be my assessment of this. So blind Sage Mode Madara versus Juubito. So to keep it simple, to not stir too many pots, I'll simply say this: a mentally nerfed, unstable Juubito does have a chance of losing to one-eyed Sage Mode Madara. I think there is a chance if he is very mentally nerfed and unstable, there's going to be moments where it's a possibility that one-eyed Sage Mode Madara has a chance to catch him somehow, possibly, theoretically. Now, if it's a strong-willed, stable Juubito, I mean, he fucking wrecks Madara shit. It's not even a competition. So Juubito is one of those characters where it's not black and white. You know, it's not black and white. It's pretty. There's a lot of gray area with him because of his fluctuating power level. All right, so continuing on. By the way, folks, I know there's more people that came in. Hit the like button. It gets us up in the algorithm, and it's greatly appreciated. It gets us more noticed. You know, the last couple of podcasts have gotten more views. We just need more likes, you know, because it lets people know that these conversations are fruitful. So let's continue on, though. All right, so Toneri versus Kaguya. All right, interesting, but I think I can answer this one fairly easily, I think, at least from my lens. So empirically, Kaguya has the much more impressive feats, including one that is possibly solar system level with the expanding True-Seeking Orb, right? I think that's more than fair to say. It's possibly solar system level. Anywhere from, you know, an arbitrary range of a solar system to solar system in its entirety, right? Somewhere out there. Some people would ever say universal. I think that's disingenuous. I don't think, you know, her feats imply universal. I think that's a stretch, but hey, some people even have her to that level. I don't. I really don't. I think the arguments and data books that people use are not the most concrete. Semantics matter. But continuing on. Ternary lacks the feats to scale to that degree, I would argue. Furthermore, a more simple rational argument would be this. Toneri is the son of Hamura, who's the son of Kaguya, who Hagoromo states is stronger than himself. Him and his brother had to work together in conjunction to defeat her. She's stronger than any one of them individually. Hence, Toneri, right, if we take this kind of linear trend that we see, would be weaker than his father as well. Right, so I would say he would most likely lose, right? I think empirically it's reinforced and rationally it's reinforced. So there's a statement that Toneri is the strongest villain. Yeah, but statements, you got to take them with a grain of salt, man. It's not as simple as, Tamari can blow the world away because that's what the data book said. That's stated. Hyperbolic. Right? Or let's look at the context here. Or is there some sort of lore building taking place here? Or X or Y. It's not as simple as this is said, this is absolute, this is hyperliteral. You can't go that route because then you run into inconsistencies. Like Tamari. Tamara does not blow the fucking wind away with her fucking fan. Right? Even though it's stated in the data book, it's clearly hyperbolic. So Will we see the day where AI can produce art? In my view, art is something seen through the lens of one's imagination. Can a well-programmed AI be able to produce unique art? That's a good question. This is what I would say about that. Art, I could see where you're trying to say. Art depends on creativity, right? Creativity seems like a trait that AI and mechanical devices without a organic, I guess you could call, mind, don't have. It's almost difficult to put your finger on what exactly creativity is. Individualism, personality, right? These things are not really understood. We understand, like, we can classify these personalities, but where did they originate from? We could argue genetic predisposition. But I think that's still a very gray area place, at least to my knowledge, as far as like what computer scientists could replicate when concerning human minds, right? We can obviously replicate rationalization, the best possible solution, right? Calculators do the very thing themselves. AI, they have the ability to adapt to patterns of data that comes in and out, and they output new data that kind of coincides with those patterns that are being inputted into these functions, right? So creativity and personality and things like that's a slippery slope, at least to my knowledge. And who knows, maybe there's computer scientists out there that have an idea of how to replicate that. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting because logical deduction seems more easy to replicate into a mechanical device, right? Like 1 + 1 = 2. We can make a device learn that. But personality, how would you really even write that out? You know, that's very interesting to me. I would like to talk to like a guy that writes algorithms or software and really ask one day. That'd be an interesting question to ask. But continuing on. Drunk Lee versus Fourth Gate Lee. Now, the best I could do is kind of just give my opinion, because this one's very difficult to pass scale. So I lean towards Fourth Gate's Lee for the simple fact that the gates multiply your abilities. Not to say that the drunk fist doesn't, but it's arbitrary. He was fighting base Kimimaro, and he was going to lose. He was holding his own, but Fourth Gate's Lee was threatening, Gaara. And Gaara, who was bloodlusted at all, I would argue that Gaara was bloodlusted at all times, because that was his very way of being. He wanted blood, he lusted for it. So he was able to contend against that. It took the Fifth Gates to really push Gaara a little bit, but I lean towards Fourth Gates. I mean, again, it's all contentious. There probably is an argument for Drunk Fist Lee as well, and I wouldn't say you're crazy for that, right? So, okay. Let's see what you guys have said. Hey, got questions? You don't mind? Of course, all questions are welcomed. Let me go up and see if I missed anything. Do you think future Gohan could have achieved Beast out IB? I'm not sure what IB is, but achieved Beast out of. If you could elaborate, maybe I could answer that one better. People like Toneri. He got one shot by Naruto. Was using KCM 2+ stage mode, not 6-pass stage mode. Yeah, Toneri he's not as strong as people think. I agree. Let's see here. What if Sasuke never knew about Itachi's truth? Simply put, he would have had a vengeance towards the Leaf, and he probably would have had to been put down like a rabid dog, like Old Yeller. Naruto would have to put his ass down like Old Yeller, because he would have nothing that would change his mind. I mean, he would have pure rage, because Itachi, right, died a hero in his eye. Itachi. Actually, I'm miscalculating. That's not what would happen. Let me peel it back a little bit. So let's break this down. Obito told him the truth. Actually, I miscalculated. What would have happened is Sasuke would have been a hero. So he would have killed Itachi. His goal is done. And then he would see the lust for power not be something so emphasized, right? So maybe he would go back to the Leaf, and Itachi would have got what he wanted, for Sasuke to be a hero. That's probably what would happen. Sasuke would return. I think everything would go well, and he would work in conjunction with the Leaf. Yeah, I think that that's basically the gist of it. Let's see. Blind Madara versus Juubito. Gaara asked why Lee didn't use the Fourth Gates. Directly is stronger than base Kimimaro. It's arguable. Do you think future Gohan's beast form could have looked different, since his potential hasn't been unlocked from the old Kai and looked closer to Rage Trunks, or completely different? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're asking if aesthetically his form would look different if his full potential was truly unleashed. That's a tough question to argue, right? Because aesthetics are ambiguous. Possibly, right? Because when someone's stated to be reaching their full potential, they get like this very aesthetically daunting form. So yeah, I think so. What are your thoughts on how technology has affected sports? Regulations and rules are changing more and more frequently every year. What do we hold onto our traditional values and don't? That's actually a very good question. Very good question. So here's the benefit of technology. Technology allows us to stop, probably down to the nanosecond, plays, right? Like football, for example, basketball, for example. You could really deduce whether there's a foul committed in basketball or a penalty committed in football. In fights, you can slow them down and see the damage caused by opponent A to opponent B, how much damage was caused, the aggression. Replays are some of the most valuable things in sports, I would argue, for any sport, really. Now, that's the very beneficial part of it. Now, a negative thing about it would be maybe over-regulating to the point where it's detrimental to the game. Like basketball is a good example. Yeah, maybe people shouldn't play the way they did in the fucking 1970s when people were elbowing each other in the fucking face, trying to go up for a layup. But I would say there has to be some level of toughness in the game, right? Because if it's all static, it's all technique based, I think that takes away from the game. It honestly does. Someone like Shaq dominated because of his physical presence, or someone like Kareem because of his height and athleticism, or someone like, a bully ball type of player. Maybe a good example would be like, what's the guy's name at the top of my tongue? I forgot his name, but he played for the Knicks. Another guy that was a good example. That needs to be part of the game. Football, toughness, hits, the ability to overpower someone. That has to stay true to the sport. Technology might take away from that because people are overanalyzing things with the new technology and saying this doesn't work. This shouldn't be allowed. But I think it has to be allowed. It not so much because it's traditional, but that's the very sport itself. You're kind of changing the premise of the sport. So there's a very blurry line there. It's very, very hard to find that line. All right, continuing on. Let me answer more of these questions because I have some pretty deep analysis on these pre-live ones. So Sage Mode Jiraiya versus Sasori. Let's answer this one. So I actually have arguments for both sides. If you ever want to debate someone, you feel free to use them. You don't even have to. Well, continuing on. Here's an argument for Sage Mode Jiraiya. Datara unsurely admits inferiority to Sasori, indicating relativity to some degree, right? He was like, I guess he's stronger than me, right? He wasn't like, oh yeah, he's stronger than me. He's stronger, right? So that implies relativity. You could arguably. Datara admits Heavy Sasuke is too quick for him, forcing him to implement a different battle strategy. He admitted Sasuke's too quick. Like Toby said, Sasuke's too quick. He says that in the manga. So that implies he does and is willing to explicitly acknowledge inferiority, right? So keep that in mind. So Igetsu, right, because Heavy Sasuke is faster than Datara, arguably beat him. So he's at least at bare minimum slightly superior to some arbitrary degree. Suigetsu states that the only reason Orochimaru lost to Sasuke is because he was sick, which implies inferiority on Sasuke's part to Orochimaru. Right? So continuing on. Hence, connecting all these puzzle pieces, Sasori scales below Sage Mode Jiraiya. Why? Sage Mode Jiraiya is relative to Orochimaru at his best, who is superior to Sasuke, who is superior to Datara, who is at bare minimum relative to Sasori, maybe slightly inferior. Right? So I would say through transitivity, Sasori most likely loses. So that's the argument for Jiraiya. Now let me give you the argument for Sasori. Sasori is stated to be above Prime Chiyo, who stalemated Hanzo on several occasions, which implies relativity. Hanzo spared the lives of the younger Sannin. You could argue Jiraiya still deems Hanzo as superior based off his reaction when learning of Hanzo being defeated by Pain. Right, so he was like, oh shit, someone actually beat his ass, and that was an older, wiser Jiraiya with Sage Mode that could possibly use Sage Mode if he had to. He's like, oh, he lost. How the fuck does he lose this? I didn't think that was possible. Right, which implies inferiority. Continuing on. Hence, Sasori scales above Hanzo, who scales relative to Chiyo, hence, who scales above Sage Mode, Prime Chiyo. Let me make sure I say Prime Chiyo. Who scales above Jiraiya. Hence, Sasori will most likely beat Jiraiya. Right, so those are arguments you could use for either side. So yeah. Alright, let's answer one question here. What if Sasuke was found by the Hidden Leaf before Obito after the Itachi fight? That would have caused the scenario you asked about. That would have caused him to never find out the truth. Or if anything, you could argue, well, Obito could just calmly his ass into the leaf and tell him anyway. You could argue that as well. But it would make it more difficult for him to get there. Not to say that anyone would be able to stop him right now, but besides 8-Gate's my guy, but yeah, so there would be a possibility that that Sasuke never learned the truth. That's what would happen. That's what most likely would happen. Alright, folks, continuing on. Technology has gone to the point where Olympic swimmers are getting time to the thousandths, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, second at least. Yet they swim in pools that is not a perfect square, even due to technological advances. Yeah, I think technology, right, the blending of technology and sports and these other aspects of our society are slowly intertwining to the point where one day maybe we ourselves intertwine with technology. We get additional amplifications from technology, from vision to to strength, to speed, to, you know, genetic predisposition. Who knows? I think the intertwining is slowly increasing of technology in our society and eventually human beings themselves. So I think it's a very good observation. So, all right. So the next question, and then I'll go back to the chat. By the way, folks, super chats cause me to stop, by the way, and I answer them right away. So if I'm in the middle of this, I'll stop and I'll answer your question. Anyway, any super chats are greatly appreciated. So thank you for all the donations over the past few streams. You guys are all goated. And as a matter of fact, you guys deserve a... Because you guys are all fucking goats. For sure. Alright, let's continue on, though. Continuing on with where I was. Would love to hear you scale War Kakashi. How strong is he actually? Good question. I think he's an interesting character to scale. War Kakashi is an interesting character to scale. Now he is able to efficiently react and counter version 2 Jinchurikis, allowing us to scale him somewhere in the realm of Jinchurikis, right? I mean, rightfully so. Allowing us to deduce that he is Akatsuki level, bare minimum, since the prerequisite to be in the Akatsuki is to be Biju level. It's some data book that states that's a prerequisite. You have to be Biju level because you have to catch Biju. That's the whole fucking point of the Akatsuki, to catch the Biju for Obito's plans. Continuing on. Now I would deduce that he's somewhere in the middle of the pack of the Akatsuki. I wouldn't say he's like Obito's level. I wouldn't say so exactly. It's arguable. I don't think he's like Itachi Prime level. That's arguable as well. He's probably somewhere in the middle if you kind of give a middle, not a high ball or a low ball, kind of like a middle ball, you know. So his stamina and hacks make him top of the food chain caliber in comparison to most of the Shinobi Alliance. Right, so to most of the Shinobi Alliance, he's superior. You know, I think the upper tier guys probably have the advantage, like White Mask Obito, Madara, of course. Oh shit! Let's stop the fucking show. Another fucking goat in the building. Yeah, you're a fucking goat, brother. Thank you, Sir Geets. I highly appreciate it, man. I'm going to fucking screenshot your stuff and put it on the screen immediately because you're a goat and you deserve one more of these. Highly appreciate it, brother. Give me a second. I gotta stop the fucking show when goats come in like that. Jeets, I apologize, goat. Jeets, Sir Jeets, you're a goat. Appreciate it. All right. Gohan and give me a second here. Screenshot this and let me put it on the fucking screen. By the way, folks, I hope you guys appreciate the soundboard. I am adding, as time goes on, more like cool noises and shit for the sake of entertainment. Give me a second here. So where are the screenshots that I had? If anything, I'll just add it. All right, give me a second, folks. I gotta add this goat's super chat onto the screen. Where are you? I believe it is somewhere out here. And I shall answer your question in quick succession. All right. Okay. Oh shit, it's fucking huge. Let me make that smaller. Alright, let's put it on the screen. Alright, folks, let's answer this. Who would win between Fused Momoshiki versus Goku that fought Frieza before he went Super Saiyan? Okay, that's an important distinction. And that's a good question. So let's break down their possible levels of power here. Now, at bare minimum, Fused Momoshiki is Kaguya level, right? Because there is this canvas that Sasuke sees in the manga and I believe in the anime as well that shows the hierarchical power structure of the Otsutsuki. It has Ishiki at the top, has Momoshiki, Kaguya, they're kind of parallel to each other, and then you have Kinshiki, I believe, right underneath that. So that implies that at bare minimum, Fused Momoshiki's Kaguya level. Hence, he would be around solar system level, give or take. Now, Goku, right? Goku, before he went Super Saiyan, I'm assuming you mean in the Namek saga, the Namek arc, was below a power level 150 million. So this is actually a very good argument. Now, the best way I could give a safe answer here is to point this fact out. We didn't really hear about solar system concretely until Cell said himself, I could destroy the solar system, right? During the Cell arc. So you could kind of rationally deduce that Goku was nowhere near that level at this point in time in the Namek arc, going against Frieza on Namek as it was, you know, being almost destroyed. So I would say he's definitely above large planet level, because even in the Saiyan arc, you know, Vegeta's blast could have possibly destroyed the Earth with a power level of 18,000. But we're talking about 150 million, right? And Goku's somewhere in between that. When he's fighting Frieza before Super Saiyan. I don't think he's solar system level. I think that's such a gargantuan AP level that 150 million is minuscule, to be quite honest. I know 18,000 and 150 million are gargantuanly different in value. I understand that, but I think solar system level is a completely different fucking level. Probably billions. Who knows? I can't really give a, you know, quantification of that, but it's probably not 150 million. If Cell is saying he could destroy the solar system. So I would deduce that. But it's possible that Fuse Momoshiki beats Goku. It's possible. Right? It's very possible. Because at bare minimum, he's Kaguya level. You can even argue that he's above Kaguya if you consider base Momoshiki Kaguya level, which is more contentious. So I would deduce that Fuse Momoshiki more than likely defeats him. This little rat is back in here. I'm not even going to acknowledge that little rat. All I'm going to say is, go back to your rat hole, bro. Go back to your rat hole. You're not worth my time. Clearly I'm worth your time, because you're coming into my streams with my dick down your throat. So have fun with that while I ignore you. Yeah, I am going to keep calling you a rat if you keep coming down here running your mouth. I already justified it, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Goodbye. Alright, continuing on. I apologize for the convenience, folks. This little rat came in here. That deserves a... for his sad attempt. Poor kid. Poor kid. Alright, continuing on. Let's continue. Apologies for the disturbance, folks. I highly apologize. Hopefully that was entertaining to you folks. Hit the like button, because this is the kind of shit we gotta deal with when we got rats in the vicinity. So again, one more time for the rat. Stupid. All right, let's continue on. I've had my fun. All right. All right, so now you guys can ask more questions here. Again, all donations are appreciated, and I'm getting to miscellaneous questions here now, but you guys can still continue to keep asking questions of anime or of anything you please. So let's continue on. The soundboard is hella fun. Yeah, I've kind of constructed it to have some iconic noises, you know. So let's continue on though. All right, so I got to bring this up because a couple of guys asked me this question. Let's discuss it. So the recent Piers Morgan interview that Andrew Tate had. Boy, I watched the entire interview, over an hour long. An hour long, and now I got to get my thoughts on it. It's a very intriguing debate, very intriguing interview. So I think Piers Morgan was heavily trying to paint the narrative that Tate is a malevolent online social media entity, right? Because he had ratty tactics, right? Talking about rats. Let's discuss some ratty tactics that Piers Morgan had on the interview. He tried to imply that because Andrew Tate went on Alex Jones, who was this conspiracy nut, he went on his podcast. Because he went on that podcast, he believes in the Sandy Hook conspiracy. Just because Tate went on the show, automatically he believes Alex Jones' claim that Sandy Hook never happened, which was a terrible event. That is an extremely ratty tactic. Just because he went on someone's platform, right, being chivalrous and having discussing things, you're going to automatically paint him as someone that supports this outlandish conspiracy. That's very ratty. He attempted to do that, and Tate was like, "Come on, man, that's fucked up. What the fuck are we doing here?" So that was very, very disappointing. But continuing on. Morgan was clearly biased, I'd say, to some extent, and had an agenda going into the interview. But to be fair, he did acknowledge some of the good Tate does. He did acknowledge some of the good things he did. And he said he agrees with some of his points. So I give Morgan credit for that. He's not a complete rat. That was a ratty tactic, but he was not a complete rat, unlike some people. So I do commend him for that. Now, as far as Tate, let's analyze Tate's performance. Tate held his own and didn't concede any major claims, but I do commend him for admitting he would have rephrased some of his past messages, which he probably should have. He probably should have, changed some of his statements around and said, I shouldn't have said this or that, X, Y, or Z, because it can come off the wrong way. I commend him for being, man enough to admit that. So all in all, Morgan strawman Tate's arguments several times and also tried to change the semantical meanings of Tate's arguments as a way to vilify him, right? But I think Tate held his own. So for the folks that are wondering my thoughts on the interview, I think it was disappointing for Morgan, right, what his tactics were, but I do commend him for the, the acknowledgments he did give. It was very intriguing, and I thought it was a good interview. Overall, as far as entertainment value, he wasn't the best interviewer, but yeah, so I wanted to give my thoughts on that quickly. So for you guys wondering, those are my thoughts. You should add a donkey sound for the trolls. Let me see, do I have something like that? I have this one. It's like the error in the computers. I have this one too.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, I have that one as well. Let's continue on though. You see what you guys asked here. What if Nagato never used Rinne Rebirth? If Nagato never used Rinne Rebirth, let's discuss that. Kakashi would be dead. Most of the Leaf would be dead. Yeah, most of the Leaf would be dead, and I think Naruto, his progression would be different. I mean, he wouldn't have his sensei by his side. Neither one of his senseis, because both of them would be dead. He'd only have Iruka left. It would, with Kakashi's passing and Jiraiya's passing, he'd be gone. So I wonder how that would go narratively. That obviously it would go different for Naruto. You'd have to rely on other, maybe my guy would take him under his wing or something like that. It would go much different. So essentially, very important people would stay dead. What stage mode were you thinking versus Juubito? Blind or one-eyed? I was talking about blind. I think one-eyed would be even more contentious. And I think the conclusion would be the same, by the way. The soundboard is an amazing addition. I appreciate it, Jojo. Appreciate that, man. That deserves a... Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Alright, let's continue on. I'm a huge Full Metal Alchemist fan. I'm wondering who would win between Roy Mustang and Shikamaru. Yeah, again, that's one on my bucket list. I haven't read that, so I can't give you an answer, to be honest. I'm ignorant to Full Metal Alchemist, to be frank. Okay. How do you think Kakashi would be reanimated against Naruto? Oh, that's actually a very good hypothetical. How would that go? It'd be a very emotional moment. Right? Kakashi would be like, oh shit, man, look at you now. You're KCM now. You did what you planned to do. It'd be a very emotional moment. And I think the writers would probably make Naruto beat him. It'd suck. I'd be sad. So. Okay. What if Shishi and Danzo were reanimated? I'm assuming you mean Shishui. Shishui would be a problem because he has the Kodo. But then again, you got to ask yourself, would his eyes would they reanimate as well? Because he lost both his fucking eyes when he died, And Itachi has one of them, and I believe Danzo had the other. So, if he does have them, the Shinobi Alliance is fucked because Kabuto would simply make him, Kodo, someone very important like Naruto or Itachi or some shit. It'd be a real problem. Danzo is not a threat. He wouldn't be difficult to deal with. Why was Madara reanimated in his final Valley form instead of when he died of old age? Did Kabuto have control of that? That's a good question, right? I agree. Right? Because why was Hiruzen reanimated as an old man? And why was Madara reanimated as a prime? Why was Nagato reanimated as a crippled? Why wasn't he reanimated, as his prime self? Very interesting to me. Those are questions that I think that are only asked because of inconsistencies for the sake of the plot. That's probably the best way to put it. Maybe Kishimoto thought, you know what, maybe I shouldn't make fucking Hiruzen in his prime because that's going to make things very weird. And people are going to say, oh, I thought you said that he was the strongest. Why is he getting his ass whooped? So maybe that's why. You could argue that. That's a possible explanation. Did Kabuto have control of that? I don't think so. Yeah. You know what is wild? If Kakashi wasn't there, would Obito ever be masked? Oh, you mean unmasked? I don't think so, because Kakashi was the only one that could counter his Sharingan since he had the other one. Oh shit! Shout out to Sean for the $20. Stop the fucking show. Goated. Appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that highly. I'm going to put it on the screen immediately. Oh shit! $10 from Sir Geets, man. We got some fucking goats in the fucking house. Fucking goats. Shout out to you, brothers. Alright, let me put these on the screen real quick. And we shall continue the show. Appreciate you guys. You guys are fucking goats. Truly. Truly. Give me a second here. By the way, folks, speaking of rats, I hope you guys enjoyed that one little moment I had with that one rat. That was kind of entertaining. So I hope you guys fucked with that. I enjoyed shitting on that guy. So, all right, let me a second here. Put this on the screen. These guys are fucking goated. Fucking goats. All right. You know what? I'll put Sir Jeets as well because he's a fucking goat, man. I'm gonna put his shit on the screen as well. You know I say 20+, but you know what? Sir Jeets is a fucking goat. He donates all the time. So I got to do it for the goat. Shout out to Luis. Thanks for the $1, brother. Appreciate the donation, brother. Much love. All right, let me just put these on the screen real quick. We shall continue the fucking show. All right, where was the other one so I don't lose it? Okay, I found it. All right, where was I? Yeah, guys, make sure to hit the fucking like button because we got rats coming at us. You know, we got some real rats coming at us, man. You know, and we're giving some entertainment value. I commend them for that. Thanks for the entertainment value. Thank you. You know, for making this experience more entertaining for for you goats. Thank you for that. That's one good thing about being a rat. Is you're entertaining. So, all right, where are the screenshots? Okay, here's this one. Let me open that, and then let me open the other one, and then I'll answer both questions. Thanks again, folks, for the donations. You guys are fucking goated. It all goes back to the channel anyway, as I make more improvements to the channel in the ways that I can, you know, content-wise, etc. So shout out to you guys for that, man, for real. All right. Oops, it's hidden behind that one. Let me move it real quick. There we go. All right, so let's answer Sean's first. Supreme Kai versus Cell Games Goku. Supreme Kai. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of ignorant to Supreme Kai and his scaling, but because you paid, I gotta look it up. You know, so let's look this up. Supreme Kai. DBZ. Let's look it up because I'll owe you that for being a goat. Let's look at his power level on Versus Wiki. How about that? Then I can get a good sense here. Let's see here. Powers and stats. Attack potency. Solar system. Given the exponential power boost by other fusions, he should be strong. He could be this strong. Wait. Fucking ad popped up. Give me a second, folks. Where was it? He should be this strong. Was implied to be comparable to Super Saiyan 2 power. Large star level. Piccolo described his power as being dimensions apart. Okay? So hypothetically, he could be solar system. So who was the other one that you specified? Cell Games Goku. Interesting, right? Now, if we're talking about the hypothetical, I think Goku was always slightly inferior to Cell. I think Cell was maybe not toying with Goku, but based off the narrative in the fight taking place, Goku knew that he was the inferior one and that he could only hold up to such an extent. That's why he had Gohan come in to deal the final blow, because he deemed Gohan as the most competent and able-bodied Saiyan out of all the warriors, right? That could deal with Cell, and he was right. So I think if Supreme Kai, if this hypothetical is correct, right? If this hypothetical Supreme Kai at least, probably would beat Goku. Now, without that, going based off Versus Wiki, if I'm considering that to be reliable, which I think for the most part it is for the most time. I know Seth one time went on here and shat on some of these scaling assessments, but let's say for the sake of argument, it is reliable. Large star level, I think Goku was beyond that. If anything, I think he was in between some arbitrary value in between large star level and solar system. I think that would be a very safe placement. So I would say probably Goku in that case, from what I can extrapolate. So, all right, so great question. So Surjits, would Itachi and Naruto and Killer Bee still win if Shisui and Danzo were reanimated? That's a great question. Now, the real problem is the Kodomatsukami. That's the biggest problem. Danzo wouldn't be an issue. He's vastly inferior to Casey and Naruto, in terms of speed at least. So I think he would be easy to deal with, even if he does spam fucking Izanagi 20 times. It doesn't matter. You'd still lose. Now, Shishu would be the problem. They'd have to take him out before he could fire his synapses. Naruto would have to come up with this plan. Maybe Itachi could help him deduce this plan and say, you know what? You have to take him out before he can get there. You have to take him out before he could fire off the Kodo, because once he's done, we're fucked. You gotta go quick. You know, like he has to basically blitz him to the greatest degree to defeat him. And I think it's a possibility. I think it's a very tough win con, but it'd be one of the only ways to deal with Shisui and his ability. So to answer your question, I think they would. To deal with Shisui would be mid to high diff. With Danzo would be low diff. He's not a problem. So that would be my deduction on that. But it's a great question. All right. Smash that like button. Appreciate it, Sean. Yes, hit that like button. Hit that like button because it gets us up in the algorithm. And we get more people. We get rats in here. We know we just had a fucking rat in here earlier. So make sure to hit that like button. Let's continue on. Continue on. All right. Let's see here. All right, so an IRL question. I haven't answered one of these in a while. What if porn did not exist? Do you believe mental health in men would decrease because of it? I believe porn is extremely wasteful and damaging. Okay. This is an interesting question. Let's break it down. Now, if porn did not exist, the desensitization of men would basically go away. There's still magazines and shit like that. But if we're just assuming, internet, right, the internet, that would greatly decrease the desensitization, the timidness, and the overall lack of initiation for men. Because men just go and fucking beat one to porn and they're good. And then when it comes to real women, they're timid and they're shy and they're weak, right? Because porn desensitizes. Oh shit! Stop the fucking show. Another donation by the fucking goat, man. This guy is a fucking goat. What a goat. Alright, let's answer your question, brother. And I'll go back to Luis's question. One more because I gotta go. Who would win between reanimated Itachi versus reanimated Minato versus reanimated Madara? So between those three, Itachi would lose because he's just vastly inferior in terms of speed. Even at his best, Minato with KCM would fucking Madara and Minato would be vastly quicker. Now between those two, it's a discussion. Now the question is, how vast is the gap in speed, right? It depends on our presupposition. Do we presuppose that Minato and KCM, right, has the same kind of amplification from his base to KCM, similar to Naruto's amplification from base to KCM, right? He went from fucking barely being able to keep up with like people that are not nowhere near the fourth Hokage to outspeeding the fourth Hokage, right? So that was his amp. So base Minato is already outspeeding the fourth Hokage. So what would he be with KCM, right? Would his amp push him at some new height? Honestly, I don't think narratively that's implied. I don't think so. So because of that, I don't think the gap in speed between Minato and Madara is that vast. And because of that, I would lean towards Madara. He probably definitely has the fucking AP for it. He definitely has the superior arsenal for it. And I think the speed isn't as vast a difference as people perceive it to be. So I think Madara would take it, for sure. Yeah. It's a great question, though. And you're a fucking goat. And one more time for the goat, man. I know you said you're going to dip, so you're a fucking goat. Appreciate you, brother. For real. You're a goat. All right, continuing on, Luis, with your question. So I think mental health would improve for men as far as porn is concerned, because again, it's a detrimental, malevolent tool that men use to get off. And right, that's our very nature, is to get off. Right, our very nature is to get off. Everyone have a good one. Hey, have a good one, brother. You're a fucking goat. Thanks for the donations, brother. Hope to see you soon, brother. Appreciate that, man. But like I was saying, it's a detrimental tool to men, and removing that, right, not even giving the option to to even access these things would greatly aid men. Men would probably have more guts. They would actually have more of a incentive to go out and meet women and do it the real and authentic way, back like the traditional ways, because there is no internet. The internet in general fucking fucked up many aspects of society. Modern society is fucked up in terms of social interaction because the internet decentivizes the need for human in-person interaction. So porn is a huge contributor to that. To answer your question, came back because I forgot to like the stream. Hey brother, shout out to you, man. Hit that like button, folks. Just like the goat in here that came back just to hit the like button. Goat. Alright, let's continue on though, folks. Yeah, goat mentality, exactly. Alright, continuing on. Base Minato versus Edo Nagato is pretty obvious in Nagato's favor. Minato in Sage mode, pretty big jump, but I can still confidently say that high diff in Nagato's favor. Casey and Minato, yeah, he wins. That is a fair assessment. I do agree, right? Edo Nagato blatantly overpowered Casey of Naruto. He was about to rip his soul out. He stated to be above that of the Raikage stated him to be above Minato in terms of speed at least, right? And he would probably have superior AP. Minato's not known for his AP. He's known for his hacks, for his flying rising, for his seals. He's not known for AP, so yeah, you're probably right. And Casey and Minato, yeah, he wins. I agree. Good assessment. Let's continue on. Alright. Minato using Flying Rising to dodge the Raikage, but Flying Rising is instantaneous. It has nothing to do with Minato's speed. I actually stated that Minato's travel speed is slower than the Raikage. His reaction speed, though, is definitively relativistic to light speed, because he was able to, at point-blank range, casually react to fucking Raikage going at him full speed. So if anything, his reaction times would make up for his travel speed. If anything, he does that anyway. He spams Flying Rising like Obito spams Kamui, so it kind of negates that whole travel speed inferiority. So that's what I would say. He has the reaction speeds and he has the hacks of going instantaneous, right? And going in an instantaneous fashion. So think of it like that, and it makes more sense, All right, continuing on with some very good questions here. Going down the IRL routes again, folks. Feel free to keep asking questions. I'll continue to answer them in quick succession, at least to the best of my ability. So thank you for all the questions, all the donations. You guys are all goated. And for the rats, let's continue on though. Reaction speed, yes, but not travel speed. People confuse the two. I agree. They do confuse the two. You are correct on that. All the time, actually. All right, so someone asked the IRL question. Is the woke society destroying the modern day social norms? All right, so let's break this down. I would say more so woke society is changing social norms by distorting pre-established, so this is an example, distorting pre-established linguistics of the English language, such as pronouns, right? These arbitrary pronouns that are fucking being created from thin air when there's pre-established pronouns that have been around since the beginning of the English language, and the only reason that these are created for the sole purpose of self-entitlement and feeling special, which is ridiculous, by the way. So continuing on. So this is an example. Also, blurring the lines between logic and emotion for the sole purpose of virtue signaling, right? To feel special and have this, sense of self-righteousness and this constructed like bullshit authority you think you have over people because you have this holy and righteous fucking emotionally based argument, which is just fucking fallacious and dangerous precedent in society. It distorts the lines, like I said, between logic and emotion. Logic is what keeps a society standing in place. When you remove that, things begin to fall apart, right? Imagine going to a doctor and not trusting the doctor. How would society fall apart? People wouldn't take the right medicine. People wouldn't believe, oh, you are clinically obese. Oh, no, I'm not. Love your curves. What the fuck? You're fat. You have hypertension. The fuck? So that's very dangerous. It's a very, very, very dangerous precedent that could honestly cause great harm to society if we continue in this trajectory. It's very, very, very harmful. Honestly. Continuing on. They are destroying the established, I call it, ecosystem of public discourse and contorting it into an ecosystem of echoes, right? With these echoes having to be where everyone must conform to this woke ideology or be shamed and crucified. That's exactly what's happening. You're either conforming to this woke, fallacious ideology or you're being crucified and you're being fucking shit on. Like Tate, who's a perfect example because he was, the more popular they are, the more shit on you're going to become. Tate's a perfect example. So that's just an example. Just as people seemingly forget Abe was going to catch Minato after he teleports, which Minato tried to take B hostage after seeing he was going to take his own life, Minato fled. I don't think these pronouns are arbitrary. Sex and gender are separate things. You may have someone born with a female brain, so to speak, yet be born with male genitals. I don't want to get controversial with that. It goes against biology. It goes against biology, and on lots of probabilities, when you're born a male, you have the mind of a male. It's vastly probable that you have it, and it's very, very statistically insignificant, the amount of people that have like this hybrid sex type of anatomy. It's not common, and it's definitely not as common as people perceive it to be, statistically speaking, based off empirical evidence. Sex and gender are separate things. It's all semantical, right? If you don't want to presuppose the most used, at least traditional definition of gender, sure, right? But the traditional definition suggests there are two, right? Again, you can live the way you want to live it. That's not a prerogative. But when you try to instill that on society at large, to feel special, that's a problem, a huge problem. That I have a problem with. You want to call yourself whatever you want, fine. That's your right. That's a freedom of speech. That's a freedom of of choosing what identity you want to have in society. That's fine. But when you're trying to change society at large to feel special about yourself, that's a problem. So you have to be perceived as this special case. Like that's just very no. Okay, continuing on though. If you had to give a percentage value, how much has technological advances in diet and medicine affected current athletes compared to oh man, greatly. I'm talking recovery rates. I'm talking injuries, dude. Back then in 1960, if you got an ACL tear, you're done. You're not coming back, and you're certainly not going to be the same. All right, good example. Adrian Peterson, the guy tore his ACL to shreds, came back and won a fucking MVP award. How many fucking running backs have even won MVP? A handful in NFL history. That's fucking preposterous, and that's because of technology. If that was 1988 or 1970, you're done. That Adrian Peterson event won't happen. So it is greatly aided in athletes' performance, and it's a reason why the athletes of today are better than the athletes of yesterday. George St. Pierre said it best. The athletes of today are better than the athletes of yesterday, and the athletes of tomorrow are going to be better than the athletes of today. Right? Not only because of technology, but because of technique, because of added on knowledge. Right? You have this threshold of knowledge, and as time goes on, that threshold continues to increase. Right? Basketball, football, fighting, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and technology added to that aids in recovery time, aids in optimal levels of health, aids in muscular density, whatever you want, whatever your goal is in whatever sport you're talking about. It's greatly aided these athletes of today. Careers are longer, performances are higher. You got these record-breaking performances because of the improvement in the sports realm. So, okay. What if Flying Raijin did not exist? He might have been caught eventually. He would have had a much tougher time against the fourth Raikage, I'll admit that. He probably would have been caught by Obito, possibly. When he fought Obito as a teenager, could have caught him. Flying Raijin gave him a huge advantage. So, it would have been much, much more higher stakes. And it already was higher stakes. According to Minato, he said, this is going to come down to who hits who first. And that's with Flying Raijin. So imagine without it. That would be very, very, very interesting to see. All right. I have a more controversial take on Edo's. I think that although they're in the same tier, I think Edo Hiruzen is a little stronger overall to Edo Itachi. I think extremely high diff for him. I think Edo Hiruzen is a little stronger overall to Edo Itachi. I don't know about that, but it's not a crazy claim to state. Where do you rank Kareem in top NBA players? He has 6 rings, third all time in rebounds, correct. Most MVPs, correct, and most points all time, correct. I actually have him right behind LeBron and MJ. I think he's right there. His greatness was pretty high amongst Mount Rushmore. He reached a very high peak. 6 rings, 6 MVPs. That's preposterous. Not even Jordan has 6 MVPs. most points all the time. That speaks testaments to his durability and his consistency throughout the years as you know, as a center in this league, in the NBA league. So he's very impressive. He's top 3 in my opinion. Honestly, I think he's extremely overlooked and one of the greatest of all time, arguably the greatest center of all time. I mean, you might be able to say Wilt, you might be able to say Shaq, but accolades wise, I think he triumphs both of them. I know, you know, individual accolades like the statistics, game, you know, averages per game. You know, fucking Wilt blew the water away because he was fucking playing against, you know, the average mailman that's 5'6", 150 pounds. So you gotta consider that. Wilt wasn't playing today, you know. Consider that. Have you read into the doctor from Australia, Dr. John Mooney? I don't want to get into heavy on stream, but he is the sort of main basis for this modern day science. Really? Is that so? I believe I've heard of him, but I've not read into it. I definitely would like to check that out. What this modern day science entails of exactly. I would love to read the literature on that. I'd love to. All right, but continuing on. All right, so there's some more pre-live questions. There's actually some science-based ones as well if you guys are interested in that, which are extremely impressive. Kareem broke Wilt's score record back in '84, I believe. He's one of the all-time greats, no doubt. Yeah, Kareem is so overlooked. So overlooked. People talk about Shaq because of his dominance and his physical presence. Kareem is consistent and will give you what you need, what you need as a center, year after year after year. You know. Please check it out. I will, Ryan. That's actually I wasn't aware of that. I definitely gotta check that out. I would love to see the rationalization for this modern day science. I would love to see his premise. You know, like what is his hypothesis to this modern day science and why it works? That would be extremely eye opening, truly. Where do you rank Allen Iverson? Well, in terms of point guards, he's top 3, top 4. I would have someone like Isaiah Thomas above him. Steph Curry is clearly above him now. Maybe Jerry West, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he was a point guard. Despite all his losses, you know, in the NBA Finals, he had a lot of losses, I believe. There's a couple point guards. So all time, he's probably if I had to spitball, top 30, top 25. So around there, I would say. Around there. I think it's a good placement. I don't think he's top 10. Definitely not top 5 or top 3. You know, that's a rare air that only the greats, the best, ever achieve. So, all right. So going back to Naruto, please, guys, feel free to keep asking questions, donations, all that's welcomed. Appreciate it. Let's continue on. So someone asked, what is the narrative message to every individual that Naruto portrays? So this is what he portrays to me, at least. This is the message that I extrapolate from Naruto and his character. I would say that his never wavering ambition and conviction, no matter the backlash or trials he encounters, is the lesson to be extrapolated. He never gives up. I know it's cliche and some people think it's cringy, but that's what's necessary to do something difficult. Whether you want to be a doctor or YouTuber or whatever the case may be. You know, never wavering ambition and never wavering conviction and the ability to not compromise that goal is extremely important when trying to achieve something difficult. You know, and persistence as well. Naruto fucking day after day after day grinding. You know, that's why we admire him so much, because of his dedication as well. So that's the main portrayal, just like unwavering ambition and incredible tenacity. Similar to Goku in some way. They have parallels in that way. So that's the message that I, extrapolate. I think Jerry holds the record for most losses in the finals. Exactly, you're correct on that. He does. And yeah, he's the NBA logo. Why isn't it Jordan or LeBron? The fuck? I agree. Or Kobe or Kareem or something. What's your opinion on the NBA at the moment? I honestly think it's turned really boring in the last 6 to 7 years. Now, if we're looking at the overall picture of the NBA, beyond the game, I agree it has decreased in entertainment value because of the political correctness, the introduction of politics in the first place. Why the fuck is politics even involved in sports? I don't give a fuck about that when I'm watching sports. I don't want to see a guy wearing a fucking jersey of any political message, whether it's right wing or left wing. I don't give a fuck. I want to watch basketball. I don't want my mind preoccupied on political aspects and your stance on them. I don't give a fuck. I want to watch sports. I want to watch a guy fucking shit stomp on someone by dunking on him. I don't want to see your fucking, your political fucking views after the game and you're getting interviewed. I don't care. Not to say that they don't have the right to say it. They do. They have the right to say whatever they want. but we have the right to react to it, right? And I don't think it's beneficial to any side of the political spectrum. I think it's very detrimental to the sport, and why eyeballs have been taken off of it, because guys look at sports as a getaway from reality, and politics is reality. Sports is a kind of a story that we get engulfed in to escape reality. Why the fuck do we want to see politics and all this other bullshit? We don't. That's why Jordan, this is what I'll say about Michael Jordan. There's a reason why Michael's liked more than LeBron. Michael did his job. Now, does he have the right to say whatever he wants? Of course he does. But he was smart. He said, I'm not, Republicans buy shoes too. I remember he said that one time. Republicans buy shoes too. I don't give a fuck what you are. You buy shoes too. You're giving me money. You're buying my Jordans. That's the approach that most guys should take if they want to be liked, if they want the sport to continue to grow, if they want their lore to continue to build. Just play the game, man. Play the fucking game. Like, what's the point of the political games? Alexa, thank you for the $20. Thank you very much. You're a goat. But I'm not going to pretend I don't know you. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. I'm going to put it on the screen, of course. Thanks for the $20. And let's give a round of applause to her, because she's been willing to debate me several times, on air, recorded, and was okay with me posting it. So, and you're a goat for that, because not a lot of people are willing to go through that, to debate and be willing to take an L. Appreciate that. Especially females that try to debate me on, these red pill topics. It usually doesn't go their way. Not being braggadocious, is being realistic. But yeah. Give me a second, folks, as I put her thing on the screen. Alexa, if you have a question, ask me a question, by the way. Anything you want. If you have a question, that is. If you don't, that's fine. I'm just saying. I'll be interested to see what questions you have. All right, let me put this on the screen. Appreciate it. Again, thank you. I appreciate the support. Let's see, where is your screenshot at? Give me a second, folks, and I shall continue the show. Again, thanks you for all the donations, folks. It goes all goes back to the channel. You guys are fucking goats. Thank you very much. Give me a second. You are pretty cool. Thanks. I didn't even read it. I just did. Thank you once again. Alright, so continuing the discussion based, but I just meant more so how everyone seems like they jog around, don't run place. Okay, so let me break that down too. You're right. Let me break down the game now. I do agree. I think it's more about aesthetics now. Not much so. I think like tenacity is not as glorified as it used to be. Like someone like Michael Jordan, or someone like Kobe Bryant, or someone like what's another good example? Someone that's very tenacious, like Shaq. That's not as revered as back in the day. What's more revered is like, oh, dunk on him, shoot a 3-pointer, show off. That's more revered. So I do agree with you. I see what you're saying. I agree. They do jog a run more and don't run plays. It's more so about, clicks and viral moments and shit like this. I agree with you. I think that's definitely true. And I do think that's taken away from the game overall. We want to see tenacity. We want to see passion. We see less of that now. We see more so the lust for viral moments, living in the day of technology and of social media. So I agree completely. Do the shimmy. Exactly. Besides Naruto, whose ninja way did you revere and respect the most? Good question. Let's think of someone that doesn't have a similar ninja way. That has a righteous one, but not a similar one. Because Rock Lee has a very similar ninja way. I'd argue he's very similar. Yo, what's going on, Mr. Mega Drive? Thanks for coming in, brother. Appreciate it. I would say Itachi, possibly. His ideology and his ninja way was selflessness, sacrifice. He was willing to be vilified by the entire shinobi world at large to protect what he cared about. I think there's something very commendable and admirable about that. Very honorable, admirable, you name it. I think that's something that a lot of guys and people in general should try to implement in their own lives. Maybe not sacrifice your fucking reputation. Obviously, that's, it's more metaphorical. I mean, more so in a metaphorical, figurative sense. Just be willing to sacrifice a little bit. If you want, the best way is becoming successful. You got to sacrifice. And you want, one day to aid those that mean the most to you. You take the Itachi approach. You say, okay, I might not have the best life right now, but I'm at the sacrifice to reach success, to reach my goal, to help people one day. And that's very admirable and honorable by Itachi. So I think his ideology and ninja way is very admirable and should be implemented as well. Alright, if Itachi and Kisama actually managed to capture Naruto in part 1, considering Itachi's loyalty to the Leaf, how do you think he'd help Naruto get out of the Akatsuki hideout? Or would not help at all? Great question. Itachi would have to construct and construe this very deceptive plan. Maybe come up with some kind of fake reason to take Naruto out of the hideout and say something like, oh, this X plus B plus Y is why I gotta take Naruto somewhere. And then he would kind of hide him somewhere where they can't find him. I think inevitably he would have to face the repercussions of that. I think they would catch on. But I do think he would try to save him to the best of his ability. And of course, without giving himself away. Or you could argue this: he cares more about Sasuke than Naruto. So to him, it would be a means to an end. So maybe he wouldn't help him. Maybe he'd be like, you know what? I care more about about Sasuke than Naruto. That's all that matters to me. So whatever. This is the casualty of war, you guess you could say. So there's two sides to that. I think either one is very possible. So Ryan Garcia versus Davis, who would win? I think Davis would fucking wreck Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has the potential to be a champion, but he doesn't have the tenacity in the work ethic that Davis has. Davis has his own demons. I think he's having like a court case about domestic violence. What the fuck's going on, Davis? Fix your shit. Get your shit together, man. But his tenacity in the gym, his dedication to the sport, it's unrivaled when you're comparing Ryan to him. He has other ventures, and rightfully so. He's an entrepreneur as well. He has millions of followers. He has his social media presence. Probably makes him a lot of fucking money. I don't blame him, but to be the best at that sport, you gotta be willing to sacrifice. Going back to Itachi's ideology, you gotta be willing to fucking sacrifice to reach that level of success. Floyd Mayweather, his life was boxing. He would go to the club at 3 a.m. and literally go out to the fucking street and run in his fucking club clothes. That's how fucking dedicated he was. You don't see Ryan Garcia doing that. Ryan Garcia doesn't have that hunger. So that's the difference why Davis would win. And technically speaking, he has more technique. He's more technically sound than Ryan Garcia. Has less holes in his game. Probably has more. It's arguable if he has more power, but he knows how to use his power better. He has more avenues to connect. Ryan is more one-dimensional in comparison. So I think Ryan would get fucked up right now. As of right now, he'd get fucked up. So my guy was also willing to sacrifice everything as well. Nothing but respect to those. Agreed. My guy is extremely honorable, a very honorable character. He's definitely another guy I would say. If you played the Storm games, what's your favorite Ultimate Ninja Storm boss battle? Great question. Let's see here. There's been many. Maybe let me think. There's so many. Naruto versus Sasuke is like kind of like the cliche pick, but honestly, it was very good. Probably that one. I think people overestimate Itachi's loyalty to the Leaf. He's obviously loyal to the Leaf, but realistically, he only cares about Sasuke. His care for Sasuke is what makes him loyal to the Leaf. I agree. That's the main importance, right? Was Sasuke. You're right about that. I agree with that. He was, as a consequence, loyal to the Leaf. Because if the Leaf's in danger, Sasuke's in danger. You're right about that. All right, so I want to get to these questions real quick. So, the science route for you guys that are the power scaling nerds here. And again, before I get on these tangents, I'm not a fucking physicist. I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm not Stephen Hawking. This is just what I've extrapolated from my past knowledge and from peer-reviewed articles that I reviewed to answer these questions. So keep that in mind. Again, not an expert, but this intrigues me. If Haku can go light speed, so this is the question. If Haku can go light speed with his ice mirror technique, from a physics point of view, what does that say about his body's durability? Very good question. So this is the way I looked at it. So when looking at hypotheses of physicists, right? When discussing what our bodies would go through going through the speed of light, this is what I extrapolated. So this is what would hypothetically happen if we went through, through reality at the speed of light. At the speed of light, we would see reality through a tunnel, and time would seem considerably slower to us in comparison to someone traveling at regular everyday speeds. So essentially life would be reality would be going in slow motion from our perspective, right? And we would be essentially a beam of light, right? The flash of light that a human cannot perceive. That's what we would be essentially, in some weird way, right? We're not so much as photons, but in some way we're a beam of light, right? So continuing on the effects that it would have. Furthermore, as speed increases, so does your mass, right? It's going back to the theory of relativity by Einstein. So as speed increases, so does your mass, right? Continuing on. So essentially, we would become infinitely heavy. We would have infinite mass, which is kind of a nuanced concept because we can't really perceive what infinite mass means. It's kind of beyond our comprehension. But theoretically, that's what would take place, right? So essentially, as our speed increases, our mass increases as well, right? So keep that in mind as well. All right, so I try to read further into the effects. Some physicists hypothesize that the sheer speed will result in you painfully feeling the hotter and much more energetic particles due to the increased velocity, right, that you're currently progressing through life in, right? So essentially, in theory, it could shred you to pieces. The sheer energy, the sheer heat and energy that you're experiencing, it'd be like putting your face in a particle accelerator, like sticking your finger in a particle accelerator. Like the sheer energy that you would feel would be vast. And if we hypothesize that you're not in some sort of structure that's immune to that, it's very possible that you would fucking just break up on a molecular level. Again, I'm not a fucking physicist, but that's what I'm extrapolating. So don't take this as like, a physics lecture. This is just my thoughts. So, from all of that, I would say that Haku has a durability that is unimaginable in comparison to someone like us. If she's able to go light speed and be just fucking fine, while we would probably be shred on a molecular level, that her durability is vastly superior. Everyone in fucking anime that could go light speed their fucking durability is beyond that of any human could ever achieve, essentially. So that shows the vast difference in the regular human on in our real reality compared to someone going at light speed, someone like Flash or someone like Haku or someone like fucking Naruto and KCM. Exactly. Yeah, make a microwave. The sheer energy and heat would shred you and probably boil you at the same time. Yeah, hypothetically, that's probably what would take place. Sorry if my science questions are too much. No, not at all. I just know that some people, some people need to know that I'm not a fucking physicist, but I would say I have some knowledge on it. I've definitely delved into these realms, which is why I talk about them in the first place. Wouldn't Haku just explode like a nuke because he'd be smashing his atoms together almost like a particle accelerator? Well, the thing is, Haku, when he's using his mirrors, is light speed, right? And again, there's different ways to interpret how that's taking place, right? But if we perceive him to have an anatomy similar to that of a human, his durability is gargantuously superior to that of ours, because he's able to be just fine going light speed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? So in the real world, it's not as simple as, I'm going light speed. There are many consequences, physical consequences that will take place as a result, chemical consequences, time consequences that will take place as a result. It's much more than just, I'm going light speed. It's a multivariate equation when you're talking about going light speed. So it's extremely intriguing. And a physicist could probably really give a lecture on it and say some real shit that would blow your mind. I wouldn't doubt it at all. All right, so next question, another science one that I'm glad it was asked because this actually interests me as well. Why do you think spirals are so prevalent in nature? Great question. So some examples were galaxies, DNA, etc. Great question. So again, this is an interesting question. Now, the answer to this question, simply put, is that the spiral type of shape aids in achieving the primary purpose of any specific example. So let's break down the examples that were given. For example, the reason DNA has a spiral shape is to efficiently achieve DNA replication and protein synthesis. So the very shape of the DNA aids in its very purpose, which is protein synthesis and DNA replication, right? So that, in a way, it was almost like a predetermined design. You know, and then we can go back to the designer argument, the God argument. Who, you know, had this presupposed design? You know, we can talk about evolution all day, but what exactly is the driving force of evolution? Is it something intangible that we cannot perceive? Is it is this magical force that, you know, allows these designs to be, you know, constructed in such a way that things operate perfectly, like DNA? Who knows? It goes back to the fucking God argument, you know, and it's very intriguing. So continuing on, as far as galaxies being the shape, you could simply observe that there are the mass within the shape, because the mass of the gravity within the shape, they gravitate towards a central axis, which can be deduced as the source of gravitational pull, so to speak. So the very shape of the galaxy is illustrating, you know, the central axis and all of the, you know, the bodies around it gravitating towards it in this seemingly, you know, spiral fashion, kind of like a solar system that has this kind of, you know, these orbitals. These orbitals are sort of like these trajectories that these bodies take because of the gravitational pull that they're going through. That's the best way I can perceive it, which is very, very interesting as well. So I think this question is interesting because it requires us to question the very infrastructure of our universe, right? We gotta question it. Why is this shaped this way? Why is the distance from here to here this, etc.? So it's very interesting because it makes us have to deduce where and why and how things operate within the parameters of our own known universe. And I think that's physics, man. I think that's the world of academia in the science department. You know, it's the very nature of it. The very nature of physics and science is to question and try to deduce these issues. It's extremely intriguing. Extremely. Not to mention there are many spiral imaging and sacred geometry and patterns and art from cultures heavy into spiritual tuning and ascension. It's a good observation as well. Religion tries to answer the million-dollar question: our origin, the universe's origin. You know, what exactly do we originate from? What exactly is the source of the originator, of the creator, of the creation? It's a million-dollar question. I think is still being answered to this day, and that has tried. You know, that's a question that has tried to be answered, you know, by ancient cultures, modern science, religion, you know, the cults, whatever you want to attribute these curious entities to. It's extremely intriguing, and it's questions that we continue to ask ourselves every fucking day. You know, a quantum physicist, I'm sure, asks himself every day. An astronomer, or a paleontologist, or whatever the field of discipline, they have these questions. You know. So it's extremely intriguing. Indeed, gravitational forces and electromagnetic fields play a huge part in manifesting these spirals. And that's a perfect tangent to the next question that you asked. This one is extremely interesting. What do you think scientists will discover when they discover the truth behind dark matter and dark energy? Now that is a topic. So this is what I know from the peer-reviewed articles that I tried to extrapolate information from. Based on what I know of dark matter now, the possibilities of what could be discovered or invented seem endless to me, personally. Dark matter is only known, the only reason it's even known is because of the effects observed coinciding to the regular matter, since dark matter itself cannot be reflected, emitted, or observed, right? Because essentially the entire electromagnetic spectrum is powerless in allowing us to observe dark matter. It's not observable. On every frequency of the electromagnetic spectrum, you cannot perceive dark matter. It is unobservable. From one extreme to the other, you cannot observe dark matter. Hence, it is dark matter. It is dark to the spectrum that we use to observe all kinds of phenomenon, which is fucking insane. What the fuck is dark matter? Why is it kind of excluded from this law that we have on matter? You know, why is that? What exactly is this shit constructed of? What are the properties? What's the difference? You know, I would love to learn about more of that. Continuing on though. Now, dark energy, according to peer-reviewed articles that I read, is more so theoretical currently, at least from what I read. Maybe there's other articles that expand and, you know, elaborate more, but theoretically, currently, which is being hypothesized. So what is currently being hypothesized is that it is very homogeneous, not very dense, and is not known to interact with any fundamental force outside of gravity. It only interacts with gravity. Outside of that, it doesn't interact with any other known fundamental force that science has observed. That's extremely telling. That's extremely telling. That it almost excludes these classifications of matter and energy into its own subcategory, into its own category entirely. That's extremely telling to me. So this is what I think could happen if they learn the properties and are able to manipulate these properties to our very bidding. I think one day it's going to be weaponized. I think soldiers are going to truly be invisible in the dark. Why? Because these fucking night goggles will not be able to perceive you, because you have dark matter, dark energy, right? Let's say you have this hypothetical suit of dark matter, dark energy. You're invisible. They won't be able to see shit. You'll be able to kill them, infiltrate the enemy's battle station without them ever noticing. They would fucking die because they can't, no matter what technology they have, unless we hypothetically assume that they build these goggles that can perceive dark matter, and there's like this new revelation of the electromagnetic spectrum that we're not currently aware of. But besides that, if you go into a more prehistoric civilization that's an enemy, they're fucked, because you're gonna have dark matter on your side, dark energy on your side, and theoretically with dark matter, dark energy, maybe there's a weapon you could create that only gravity can really change. There's usually some ideas that obviously are all theoretical, but that would be fucking ridiculous, man. That is fucking ridiculous. So yeah, it's truly intriguing. Finding out the truth behind these dark properties would be highly intriguing, and it may be a package deal where we discover more about our electromagnetic fields and spectrum entirely. Exactly. That's exactly what's probably going to happen when we gain more knowledge on these things. Right, but all right, folks, feel free to ask more questions. I think that's all my pre-lives. I think there's more that I didn't write down, but they're in the area where people ask questions. Give me a second here, folks. Feel free to keep asking any and all kinds of questions, folks. Again, thanks for all the donations. You guys are goats. And once again, if you come in here barely, make sure to hit the like button. Gets us up in the algorithm, and it keeps more eyes coming in and makes these more interactive as well. More questions asked, etc. So thank you all. Let's continue though. Any questions? Any and all questions, feel free to ask, guys. Anime, RRL, whatever. Any and all questions are welcomed, and all donations as well, because all you guys that donate are goats as well. Alright, let me see if there's any other questions here I can answer while you guys ask questions here. Who would win? 5 Kage Summit Sasuke, not Danzo fight, or Orochimaru? That's an interesting question. Now, let's break this down. So Suigetsu, around the time that Kabuto was defeated by Itachi and Sasuke, said the only reason you beat him is because Orochimaru was sick, and you just surpassed your mentor or some shit like that. Let me look up the exact statement so I don't give the wrong argument based off incorrect information. It says Sasuke is weaker than Orochimaru. So that way I can give a more definitive answer. He says, the reason you were able to defeat Orochimaru is simply because he couldn't use either of his arms due to the Shiki Fujin. Okay, I believe that someone so he gets to sit in the back. We've only now surpassed our mentors. So that from that you can extrapolate. Well, Sasuke up until EMS was still inferior to Orochimaru. It seems to coincide with the Itachi scaling, because Itachi seemed relative to EMS Sasuke at the beginning of the war arc, who is superior to Orochimaru clearly when he fodderized him at 14 years old. So it makes sense. So I would say prime Orochimaru would most likely beat Sasuke based off of that. Could you make some arguments for Sasuke? Sure, but that's an argument I would give for Sasuke. Yeah. I mean, so Getsu last saw him at the Five Kage Summit. Exactly. So he saw that level of power, right? When his chakra was at its darkest, and when Sasuke barely started using, the power that he now has, right, with the MS. So he saw it at full display. So there you go. Okay. Hey Jay, in the Naruto verse, element reaction, fire versus water makes sense, but what do you think is happening in the wind versus lightning? That lightning is the weaker one. All right, so breaking that down, wind and lightning. Maybe you could argue because wind, maybe you can make a chemistry type of argument and say, a rational argument and say, well, wind is light. Wind, right, when it's hit against something, the effect isn't as gradual as, for example, hitting earth with lightning. And maybe because of the chemical and physical properties of wind, lightning simply is negated by it or pushed, or the weaker element, I guess you could say. Again, this is just my speculation. I'm not a fucking physicist, but that would be my train of thought for it. Because rationally, it makes sense how wind could be beaten by lightning, I guess. Lightning can't really do anything to wind. Wind could theoretically maybe, at a high enough speed, theoretically speaking, maybe push wind or negate the wind or something like that. Theoretically. That's the best explanation I could give for that. Water and fucking fire make perfect sense, right? A basic, fourth grade class teaches you that water extinguishes fire. It's as simple as that. So, how do you feel about modern archaeology being gatekept? There are many sites and findings throughout the world coming up to the last few years that some scientists are just ignoring because they don't like it. That's a good question. Rationally, learning about that, maybe it's the purpose of it. Maybe they don't want to release it to the public because it will have it'll have what they believe is a negative effect. I don't know. There's many possible rational reasons why. Maybe they have their own ulterior motives. Maybe they only want to release what they want to release for the sake of, making society adjust in a certain way. There's many reasons for it. Like the pyramids in Bosnia, Göbekli Tepe, and the Sphinx in Egypt being found to actually be twice as old as the pyramids. Yeah, that's a good question. There's probably some rational arguments that we can try to induce, right, as to why this is. But yeah, that's actually very interesting. Very interesting. All right, folks, keep asking questions. As you guys do that, I will answer questions that were here that I didn't actually look into very, very deeply, but I'll still answer them. And again, any donations make me stop and answer your questions, by the way. So again, all donations are greatly appreciated. So let's see here. Which is cooler, robot or dinosaur movies? It's a very simple question, but probably robots. There's just more possibilities. There's all kinds of robots. There's a wide spectrum of them. There's like iRobot. There's I think there's one movie called Skyline. I remember I saw a long time ago. There's all kinds of possibilities you could do with robots and AI and shit. Dinosaurs are just dinosaurs. Jurassic Park is the peak of dinosaur storytelling, in my opinion. So, all right, these questions are fucking stupid. I'm not answering those. Let's see here. Are there any video games coming out soon that you want to play? God of War is no question. A game I want to play. What other games are coming out? There's gonna be a new DC-based game coming out, Gotham Knights. I think there's a Suicide Squad game coming out as well. There's a few games that I'm very looking forward to. Some troll questions in the Discord I just noticed. Yeah, it's annoying ass fucking people. Shit stains that I scrape off the curb. That's all they are. Okay. How is Bleach coming out along for you? I think I'm about 140 episodes in. My pacing of the show has definitely diminished because of obligations, but I'm enjoying the Rancor revelations. Learning about Aizen and his affiliations and the kind of power hierarchy and how powerful you guys really are. I mean, fucking Ichigo was struggling with that one guy that wasn't even a captain. You know, it's fucking insane. So these guys are clearly at different heights of power. The only criticism is Bleach power scaling is a little wonky. It seems a little consistent. Like fucking Ichigo stalemates Byakuya and fucking arguably beats Kenpachi early on, and now he's struggling with these Orankars. Either that or the Orankars are just that strong. Like guys that would fuck up Kenpachi. You know, to me that seems a little far fetched. If Kenpachi is considered the best battle captain, at least to my knowledge, why the fuck would he lose to an Orankar that's like 4th ranked? You know, but then again, you know, it's very entertaining. I like the storyline being told. Have you read Berserk? I haven't actually, but I've heard of it. That's probably one I will check out in the future. Alright folks, any questions you may have, any questions at all, feel free to ask. I believe I've answered all the pre-live questions, actually. I believe that is all of them. Are you referring to Core? I think that was one of them, yeah. That is one of them. He's one of the guys that is definitely in that category. I did some spoiler stuff. I know he's like really powerful, at least from my knowledge, or the little that I do know. Like later on, he becomes a fucking dog. Kind of gets wonky around that arc. Yeah, this apparently seems like the case. You know. All right, folks. Any and all questions? Feel free to ask. Let's see here. If there's any questions that I missed. And make sure, again, folks, make sure to hit that like button. Gets us up in the algorithm. It's greatly appreciated, by the way. Any and all questions are welcome, folks. Controversial, anime, IRL, whatever it is. You know, questions about the past call-in show, questions about past streams, whatever is on your mind, I shall answer. Let's see here. Any and all. Have you been anywhere outside the U.S.? Just Mexico. That's about it. I haven't been like any other countries though. Any other foreign areas besides Mexico. I would like to in the future though as well, definitely you know, explore other foreign locations. You know, to kind of observe the culture, observe the norms, you know, the differences in us, societal norms, etc. So. Let's see here. Any and all questions, folks, are welcomed. Any and all. Debate questions, anime questions. Controversial anime take. Hiruzen is the worst person in Naruto. I don't think you're crazy for saying that. My option for the worst would probably be fucking Danzo. He's a piece of fucking shit. But Hiruzen's up there. You know, he lacked the backbone to do what's done, and that's why Hanzo had so much success implementing his fucking plans in the Uchiha massacre. So Hiruzen's a pussy as far as leadership, not power scaling, but leadership. Yes, he's a pussy. Bro, Sasuke Resident is getting a manga adaptation. I've heard of that. I'm actually looking forward to that as well. I wonder what that's going to entail of. Alright. How much has anime given you an appreciation towards Japanese and other cultures? I would say much appreciation, right? Because these animes, right, in the thematic aspects, you would argue reflect the ideologies of, you know, Japanese culture, you know, and at least at the bare minimum, the ideologies of the authors writing these. And I think they're very commendable and honorable. Most of them, you know, like like Naruto's ideology, which Kishimoto obviously reveres greatly because his ideology triumphed in the end of Shippuden. I think that's very admirable ideology, and Kishimoto holds it dear. Or Toriyama with Goku and Vegeta, you know, their ideologies of tenacity and ferociousness and ambition, very, very admirable, very, very honorable as well. And that speaks testament to Toriyama's character as well. You know, so I actually greatly appreciate Japanese and other cultures as well. You know, because of the stories that they tell allow us to extrapolate all kinds of things. You know, their character, you know, their ideology, etc. Their moral compass. You know, there's a lot of things you can extrapolate. Kisame versus Kakashi. Versions of Kakashi greatly matter. Kisame Part 1, probably shitstomps Part 1 Kakashi. Probably beats beginning of Naruto Kakashi. War Kakashi. Okay, so Peinar Kakashi. He might lack the stamina. He might lack the speed at that point, arguably. War Kakashi gets interesting, right? He's reacting to version 2 Jinchurikis in quick succession. He's probably around the level of a Bijou. Then again, Kisame is called the Tailless Tailed Beast, who slayed the strongest Jinchuriki at the time, which was Killer Bee at the time before KCM Naruto. So you could argue that Kisame would still be Kakashi. Kamui would be the most effective tool that he would have against Kisame, for sure. But there are certain win cons for Kisame. I think obviously DMS Kakashi shit stomps Kisame. So it's pretty interesting. The War Kakashi and Kisame matchup is the most interesting discussion, for sure. Kisame was okay. I just read that. I think Sasuke was justified for trying to destroy the leaf. Oh, interesting. Do I think his anger was misplaced? No. Do I think his approach was the best? No. But it is understandable where his anger originated from, what the catalyst for that was. So, does Sakura have a limit on how much chakra she can seal into her seal? Or has she been storing chakra this whole time since the war arc? Yeah, that's the contentious part about Sakura, right, that people always ask about. Can she store limitless chakra? I think rationally we can kind of deduce that probably not, because imagine what the fucking levels she'd have at this point. I mean, if her chakra levels and her chakra powers was enough to fucking punch Kage in the back of the head, and she'd been saving, a decade plus of chakra, she'd be fucking up Ishiki, so probably not. Again, chakra is not the only variable when trying to deduce power level. I know that, but I would say not. I think it's a high level, but I don't think it's boundless. I think there's a threshold. That's the way I would look at it. I mean, shinobis have limits. Unless you're fused Momoshiki's not a shinobi. He's a fucking Otsutsuki that can absorb infinite chakra, according to him. So let's see here. Sasuke should have died. He tried to end the world's leaders after saving the world and helped to start the end of the world. So Sasuke should have died. If anything, that would I could see your point, but that would go against the very message that Kishimoto was trying to relay, which was breaking the cycle of war and peace, right? That's what Naruto was. He was the chosen one to do that. If he would have simply killed Sasuke, that would have continued the very cycle that Hashirama continued, that Hagoromo continued, not Hagoromo, but excuse me, Ashura continued. So yeah, I probably would have went against his very purpose. But I could see where you're coming from. Yeah. Who's winning a basketball game? Base Vegeta or EMS Sasuke? No Susanoo. A basketball game? Well, base Vegeta would have. Depends on what Vegeta we're talking about. We're talking about current DBS Vegeta. He would literally dunk the ball a boundless amount of times before Sasuke can even blink. Let's just say that. So that's what would happen. If we're talking about base Vegeta, maybe in the Saiyan arc, maybe Sasuke can, outspeed him, out tough him in the paint. So, yeah. Simple as that. Anime take controversial number 3. Gohan Beast makes no sense. Same with Piccolo Dorado. I could see how it wouldn't make sense, but now that I've kind of leaned back a little and kind of just analyzed the storyline of Gohan throughout the Dragon Ball timeline, he's always been that way. He's always been the guy to reach new heights, right? When it was seemingly impossible, and I think that's the point with Gohan's potential. Is his potential is so vast that he can essentially reach new heights that no one else could touch at the moment besides Broly. Broly is on a whole other level. He's the guy with the most potential. So Gohan represents that. He represents that breaking through new limits. Well, all Saiyans do in a way, but Gohan really does. So Piccolo Dorado, what the fuck was that? I agree with that. The fuck is he doing being that powerful? So that I agree with. Maybe they just wanted him not to be left out. Like, oh, we don't want Piccolo being fodder like Krillin and Tien and shit. So let's give him some power. Maybe it was probably why. I don't understand why Naruto would barely see Naruto learn any jutsu quite a long time period in between. Then Boruto knows all these nature-based jutsus, and we never see how he learned them. It's lame. I agree, because progression in the very grind itself, not only does it allow us to see, okay, this is how I learned them, but it also makes the audience appeal to them more so emotionally as well. So overall, it's a beneficial thing to do. Yeah, it might have more chapters, more episodes in the manga, but that's on the anime, but that's fine. I don't care. I want a story. I want a polarizing and engulfing story. I don't want this bullshit that just pops out of nowhere. So I see the argument for Gohan Beast being like, what the fuck? I do see that. The guy seemingly, well, apparently he trained, but we never saw that. We never got emotionally appealed to, and all of a sudden he's Gohan Beast, fucking up, Cell Max that's with the perfect Cell Max being hypothetically stronger than fucking Broly in the Granola arc. Like, what the fuck's going on here? What the fuck's going on here? This all that goes through my mind when this happens is that's all that goes through my mind. So I agree. Is it safe to say perfect Sage Mode Jiraiya would be as strong as Kajin Koji? Interesting. I think arguably that could be a possibility, but then you would have to rationally deduce, like, would him going from this level of Sage Mode to perfect boost him to those heights, to heights where he could at least somewhat cause Jigen some discomfort. I wouldn't say he ever caused Jigen any threat, right, when he went to Jigen and tried to step up to him, but he caused him some discomfort. He's like, really, dude? You trying to fuck with me? Like, I don't know if he'd reach those heights, but it's a possibility. You could make an argument and say, well, Mato made a perfect Jiraiya with perfect Sage Mode. Hence, Jiraiya, if he was perfect, would be that strong. It's an argument to be made. Obviously, it seems hard to accept because of the vast difference between Sage Mode Jiraiya and Kaji Koshin, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And if it did happen, I wouldn't say it was crazy, especially with the wonky power scaling in Boruto anyway. Yeah. Out tough him in the paint. Yeah. Really important question. How would you do Dragon Ball Super if you could write it? It's a good question. Now, the way I would do it, first of all, more consistent power scaling, but not so much to the point where it diminishes the entertainment value of the story, right? You have to have some entertainment. You can't have simple, logical progressions of power scaling where it's like A to B, B to C, C to D, and it's very like static and boring, and it's almost like a lecture being told rather than a storyline that's trying to entertain you. So I would have to find that balance as a writer, but I would try to keep the power scaling more. I would get more consistent, and as far as the narrative being told, less wanks, less inconsistencies. Again, this goes back to power scaling. I think it's one of the biggest issues with Dragon Ball. Also, more storylines for other universes. I don't see the problem with that. Yeah, it might extend the manga, but let's learn about the Universe 7 Saiyans. Why not? Kaba, Kefla, and why not? Let's build it. Let's build up the lore. Lore is extremely important to have a goated anime. Like Goku and Vegeta, goated lore. Naruto, goated lore. Light Yagami, goated lore. Eren Yeager, goated lore. That's what you need. Not to say that every single character needs that level of lore, but that should be an aspect in all these characters to give us something to appeal to emotionally. So I would have to find a balance between appealing to the masses and staying consistent with the power scaling so it makes sense logically speaking. That's how you have the best product as well, in my opinion. Koji had a lot of prep time and had the genius of Minato to assist him also with Jigen. Correct, yeah. So it wasn't as simple as him just showing up unprepared. So you're right about that. Yeah. So that makes, the notion that Sage Mode Jiraiya with perfect Sage Mode more that powerful, not as crazy. So yeah, that's true. I would personally go for more free flow with themes for certain characters, like Vegeta finding a purpose, Gohan learning to protect people, and Goku finding any way to fight. I can see what you mean. Like more narrowed down storylines for each of these characters. I think that would be a good route to go. Piccolo, I would have try to catch up with Goku and make sure there are no more slip-ups. Go for that Batman type feeling with him, and he experiments on himself to become Piccolo Dorado. Yeah, this just make more sense to us, like automatically he's fucking Goku level. What the fuck are we talking about here? How difficult would it be to fusion dance with Broly? He seems to have unstable power control. And on that tangent, imagine a Gohan fused with Broly. Jesus, yeah, that would be fucking ridiculous. Yeah, he doesn't seem to have control over his power level. Like, it's even arguable if you can even, how Goku and Vegeta can suppress their power level. Broly, at least in the Broly movie, more than likely did not have that ability to really channel in his ki and like narrow down the power level that's being expedited at the moment. You know, he didn't have that ability. He's chaotic. His power level fluctuates and it shoots up like a fucking rocket. You know, so he probably couldn't do the dance because, you know, as they fuse, they have to have their, in a way, have their power levels in harmony in some way, so they have a perfect fusion, right? They have the dance has to be perfect. The ki synchronization has to be perfect as far as power levels, etc. Broly's not ready for that. But if he was able to, with Gohan, we're talking about a fucking guy that could fuck up, I would say probably fuck up Beerus, manga or anime. As far as Whis, it's very ambiguous what his heights truly are, but possibly even maybe even Whis. You know, it'd be fucking crazy. It'd be fucking crazy. So that would be a hell of a moment when that happens. Even Goku and Vegeta fusing now with True UEI and Ultra Ego. That's fucking bonkers. You know, that's probably what they're gonna need to do to fuck with Black Frieza. Black Frieza one-shotted, fucked both of them up, and let them live like they were his bitch. He's like, I'm gonna dip now because you guys are inferior. And he dipped. He literally said, I'm dipping. And I was like, wow. And Goku and Vegeta, when they saw that...
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So, basically, he was blatantly superior. Fucked up Gauze, fucked up Granola, fucked up Goku and Vegeta. It's fucking preposterous what he did. I'm curious on how Angel. Oh, that's a good question. That I have thought of that as well. How would Angel Ki fuse with Destruction Ki? That's a question. Maybe Toriyama won't allow that. Maybe he'll establish the rule that it's not possible. Maybe because of the different properties of the ki, or maybe he'll kind of look past that and say that ki is ki. You know, which probably wouldn't make sense because Angel Ki and Destruction Ki seem to have differences. So it's solely dependent on Toriyama's decision. You know, he's probably gonna have to get that decision is probably coming soon for him. Maybe even now in these next coming chapters. He's like, what do I do? Do I allow them to fuse, or do I have to make something else happen for them to have a shot? You know, I guarantee Toriyama and writers are asking themselves, what do we do? What's the next step? You know, so I hope they come up with the right step, something that's badass, something that makes sense, you know, and it's a great product. So, if you come up with different quirks for Deku, I'm not familiar with what is Deku? My Hero Academia, or is that Hunter x Hunter? I actually don't even know exactly where that guy's from. I'm ignorant on those things, to be honest. To be frank. But any and all questions, folks, feel free to ask. Any and all questions. My Hero. Yeah, that's what I thought. I heard Deku before. But okay, by the way, folks, once again, thanks to all the donators, man. You guys are fucking goats, man. For real. Appreciate it, man, for real. Once again, thanks for all the donations. All goes back to the channel. You guys get prioritized answers for me, obviously, if you donate, so I appreciate it. To any and all that I've donated in the past, today, and that will donate in the future, I appreciate it. But yeah, folks, any and all questions are welcomed. Sorry for my fucking voice. God damn. See if there's any other questions here. Let's see if anybody asked in the chat real quick. You know, questions, folks, are welcomed. Anime, IRL, controversial, political, morality, whatever. What are your thoughts on Chunin Exam Lee versus Chunin Exam Sasuke? I've seen this debated a ton. So, there is a canonical statement in some canonical literature, I think it's a data book, that says the person that Gaara fought, right, the Sasuke that Gaara fought, was stated to be the strongest opponent that Sasuke ever fought. Excuse me, that Gaara ever fought, which means he would be stronger than Lee. So, if you simply revere that statement, it ends the discussion, right? But a lot of people don't revere the statement. They try to manipulate the semantics, which isn't a bad thing because look at the empirical evidence. My guy said that Sasuke was as fast as weightless Rock Lee, base weightless Rock Lee. That's how fast he is, right? So clearly 5 gates Rock Lee is considerably faster than that. Hence, he's considerably faster than Sasuke. So the statement in the canonical literature that says Sasuke is the strongest opponent that Gaara's faced can be questioned, and you can question the semantics to try and coincide with the empirical evidence. I don't have a problem with that. You could argue 5 gates Rock Lee is faster than Sasuke, and the only advantage would be Sasuke's AP with the Chidori. And then there's also the ambiguous aspect around that. How it does amplify your speed. Could it theoretically amplify Sasuke's speed to be that above that of 5 gates Rock Lee? Hence, he would just outspeed him and slice his ass with the Chidori. I don't know. That's ambiguous as well. But my personal opinion would be, I personally think that statement is pretty concrete. You don't see people saying, "Oh, he's the strongest because he has more AP." I don't think that was Kishimoto's intention. He wasn't saying he's stronger because he has Chidori and he has because of the greater AP. I think he means overall, when you're comparing A and B, B is superior overall. That's the way I look at it. Again, you know, the empirical evidence does suggest otherwise. There is arguments for the other side. You could say 5 gates Rock Lee is faster than weightless Rock Lee, who my guy said is the speed of Sasuke. Sasuke with the Chidori is not as fast. You could say that, fine. Then Rock Lee would win, most likely. So, what's going on, Nio? Thanks for coming in. Thank you, brother. Have you gone through all of Demon Slayer? It's an okay story if you're looking for something more simple. Demon Slayer. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Right now, Bleach I have to finish it. I really do. But right after, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is going to be next, and then Demon Slayer, and then probably all the other ones like My Hero, Full Metal Alchemist, etc. As my knowledge expands on these anime, and I learn like the parameters of these, the way these anime power scaling systems work, you know. So. How much stronger would Kakashi be if he mastered Sage Mode? Wow, he would be a beast. Think about of a hypothetical war arc Kakashi with Sage Mode, mastered, perfect Sage Mode. I think he'd be a fucking threat. He'd probably be fucking up those version 2 Jinchurikis for sure with the reaction times and the AP increase as far as his energy output, right? Like punches and ninjutsu shit like that. It's all increased. He'd probably do some damage. Maybe even fuck with War Mass Obito. I don't know if he'd be that strong, but he'd be up there, man. He definitely would. What do you think of the fan service in Bleach? I get it. It's cool. Sometimes it's funny. I'm not a huge fan of fan service. I want to stick to the polarizing aspects, like real shit, like cold moments, emotionally appealing moments. It's cool to add, some humor and some fan service as well, I guess. It's cool. It adds some different flavor, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of it myself. The one in Bleach, it's okay. Sometimes they overdo it. I'm like, okay, dude, can we just get to the fucking cold moments here, please? But it's all right. It's not something that's so detrimental that it affects the quality. But sometimes it can be annoying. So sometimes it is legitimately funny. Sometimes it is. So sometimes that's the case as well. Depends. You know what I might as well do right now is give my thoughts on the latest chapter of Boruto. Since I reacted to it, I'm gonna post my reaction another time. Let me read this question real quick. If Naruto learned Sage Mode when he was training with Jiraiya, how do you think it would change things? If anything, he would have probably went with Jiraiya. I think Jiraiya would have enough confidence to bring Naruto with him to face Pain, and together they might have a shot. Possibly. They are facing Pain at the Rain Village, where he's at his prime, at his peak. But I think he'd have enough confidence to bring him along. And maybe the way they approach it would be different, because Naruto wouldn't be so stupid. Well, Naruto's not, Sasuke level intelligence, but I don't know if he'd be okay with just showing up to fuck with Pain. I don't know if he'd be like, let's go face first into the shithole, Shit's Creek, and see how it goes. I don't know. Naruto's not that fucking dumb. But I think it would change things. And I think that the odds of Jiraiya dying would decrease. Most definitely. For sure. There's no doubt about that. As far as them winning, I don't know. Pain in his prime in the Rain Village, no intel on him. He's a fucking threat. That he's a fucking threat. Do you think space exploration will lead to the discovery of more elements like we did in the sun, or do we have advanced enough to determine that is it? I do think theoretically, you know, who knows? Maybe these are just some theories I'm throwing out. Maybe in a whole different, you know, galaxy, because we're not able to get in there really. We can only observe it from, you know, a telescope and see what we can perceive, right, with observational evidence. Maybe the very chemical properties and the very the very laws are different there. Maybe elements are so much more different, or maybe they're, you know, kind of cousins of the elements that we've come to know in the periodic table. You know, maybe that's a possibility as once we're actually able to go to those other galaxies, once we have the technology that's capable of, you know, reaching these speeds that allows, you know, the technology to get there in a very rational amount of time, not a ridiculous amount of time where we'll be dead 10 times over. I think it's a possibility. You know, I do think there's going to be new elements for sure that are going to be discovered as that happens. I don't think that's going to happen for a long time, though. To reach light speeds, it's going to be so difficult, if ever. It's a very difficult thing to do. I think they're going to start mining asteroids. Interesting, very, very interesting. And once we do that, who knows what we could get or go after we develop the tech for that. Interesting. That's going to be very, very interesting to see how that progresses. I definitely want to see how that goes. Well, the tech is already there, just implementing it. Yeah. Even the texting stories are better. Yeah, so let me give my thoughts on the chapter. Chapter 73 was quite disappointing. Ida, who is seemingly this huge part of the story, like you see on the screen here, is Sakura 2.0. Her sole purpose of cooperating with the Leaf is because of fucking Kawaki, because you want his dick. That's the only reason why you change in such a drastic fashion in one fucking 180 of fucking sides that you're picking. What the fuck is this? I don't want to see Sakura 2.0. I want to see a polarizing and fucking cold character. The fuck is this? You know, I don't want to see this shit. So Ida, I get it, the little gag that they could have continued with that, sure, but that's her sole purpose? There's nothing else they could have constructed. No other fucking reason or purpose for her actions. Simply because she wants dick, that she's gonna work with them and help to peak code. That's fucking stupid to me. I'm sorry. Like, imagine if his purpose was because he wanted pussy or some dumb shit, that one of his old flames didn't fuck with him and he wants to destroy the world or some shit. Like, come on, man. That's it? It's bullshit. What the fuck is this? That was very disappointing. Very disappointing. I don't give a fuck about Ida. If honestly, I'm starting to dislike her to the levels of Sakura already. I'm sorry. I don't fuck with that. I want to see real shit. I want a real purpose, a real fucking villain, not a fucking thirsty ass fucking chick that's switching sides because she wants dick. Come on, man. Now, the positive. Okay, so here's the positives of the chapter. I liked the revelations that were made about, as far as power scaling. So this is what I learned for you guys. Spoiler alert, if you guys haven't read the chapter. Code is stronger than Jigen, but he's weaker than Ishiki, according to Shikamaru. Now you could argue this is all his speculation. This is not concrete, sure. But Shikamaru is one of the smartest individuals in the verse. He said that Code is stronger than Jigen without his limiters, but he's still weaker than Ishiki Otsutsuki. So he said that, which was very telling. And then he said he thinks with Ida that they can take Code, indicating that maybe with Boruto, Kawaki, Ida, and Damon working in conjunction, they could take no limiter Code. Right, so there's that as well. Another telling thing is that I'm not sure if he was talking about no limiter Code or Code with limiters. He said that him and Delta could have dealt with Code back when him and Delta were together during that one event in one of the previous chapters. That's very telling as well. So that kind of tells you what Delta's ability is now. Maybe possibly she's an improved version of herself. I don't know if that's the case. If Shikamaru is that confident, where does that place him? You know, there's a lot of power scaling assessments that took place in that chapter. But yeah, fucking Ida's disappointing. Boruto and Kawaki versus Three-Eyed Madara. Currently, it's tough because it's tough to quantify where they're at currently. If they're anywhere near their tap potential, they fucking clap. If they're far from it, then maybe Madara takes it. Far from it. It's very, very tough to quantify. In my estimation, they probably beat Madara currently. They probably do, to be honest. If anything, worst scenario, you know, Boruto has Momoshiki's intervention once again or some shit. So, and he fucking bodies Madara. Worst case. Yeah, I hate Ida. Yeah, I'm starting to get there. Boruto's going downhill really fast. Agreed. It's fucking disappointing. Disappointing. Do you think Baron would have been more sick if Naruto died instead of using a certain percentage of Kuroma's chakra to kill Ishiki? You know what? I actually wouldn't have minded that. I actually think that would have been a very honorable death. So yes, I think that would have been fine. I think that would have been fine, and I think that would have been a very good way for him to go. Very honorable way. And the passing of the torch would have took place. You know, Boruto's conviction and Sarada and their conviction would have risen to you know, protect his legacy. I think it would have been a very good way for him to go out. Honestly, and obviously, who wants to see him die? No one does, but it would have been a good way. Very honorable death. So, I always thought he was weaker than Ishiki. Yeah, me too. I did presuppose that too. Now we basically know almost as a fact that he is. So technically, Genkaku and Momoshiki have some of Kurama's chakra inside them. Will we ever see Kurama reappear in this story, perhaps? Or is that it for him? I know it's the passing of the torch for show. Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. Maybe he could reemerge somehow in a way that doesn't re-power Naruto. That's an interesting question. I think it's a possibility. They'd have to approach it the right way and make it make sense. But so many people, you know, correlate him to Naruto that it would be difficult. So my estimation is it's most likely over for him, but it's a possibility. Say that. Non-anime question. Where do you want to see the channel at in the next 6 months to a year? Okay, on to this question actually. I would like obviously to be over 3K. Here's a revelation for you guys as far as the channel. Around 3K, I'm actually planning on not stopping reactions, and these streams are going to continue no matter how big I get. That's not going to stop. The streams are goated. You guys are fucking goated. But as far as reactions, I'm thinking of transitioning from reactions to original content. That does mean reactions will be more far and few between, but here's the good part about it: better reactions, better quality, more time invested in original content that I could relay to you guys, like original content, you know, like ranking videos or narrative analysis or power scaling assessments. So at 3K, I plan on reinvigorating the channel in that fashion to become more of an original content creator rather than a reaction content creator. So it's a slow and gradual process until I'm eventually all original. Of course, the reactions will always live on. I'm never gonna, you know, unlist those. So, but yeah. So that's what I expect in the next 6 months to a year. Hopefully in a year from now, we're all original contents, streams, debates. That's it. You know, like a more established information channel, I guess you could say. Informative channel, you know. Yo, what's going on, Truth? What's going on, brother? Wendy's or McDonald's? Oh, Wendy's all day, man. McDonald's is so generic. It's McDonald's. It's the generic fast food chain. Not to say it doesn't have its perks, you know, but Wendy's, better quality food, etc. So, also, I processed that you said I took an L. You mean when we debated? Yes, you did. You took an L, blatantly, hard L. I know a couple guys and said that you won. They're simping. You didn't win. I'm sorry. But all jokes aside, yeah, you lost. What do you have written? Bratato's Charter? I don't think I'm familiar with that. 6 Orbit versus Gravity? Hey, shout out to 6, man. Six is a cool dude. He's a formidable debater. And hopefully in the future we can have a rematch where I'm prepared. Not to say he didn't get a W. He got a W fair and square. He was the better man that day. I should have prepared. That was my mistake. And he got the W. He adjusted accordingly. I miscalculated. He calculated correctly. He took me out. But I think with prep time, we'll go much differently. It would definitely be much more competitive at bare minimum. So, Six is a very good debater, though. Very good. I could see his tactics as I study his debating. You know, very, very intelligent. I think Six outweighs Gravity. Oh, come on, man. Sip Nation in the house. Facts. I need a round 3 to redeem myself. I'm sorry, but currently your power level doesn't suffice. Your power level doesn't suffice. You're unable to take me down currently. You'd have to go back, train, go in the hyperbolic time chamber, train, come back. Maybe I'll have a chance. Jay, do you have any anime debates coming soon, perhaps? Yeah, I've been talking to some guys that that will make a fruitful debate, not a boring ass debate where I whip somebody. So there's some guys I'm talking to, trying to plan something out that we actually disagree on. Obviously, we'll both have prep time. A couple guys in the works through the Discord realms. I hope to get there somewhere with somebody, to really give my anime debate skill as well, which I've done many times. Despite my 6L, I know some guys are like, oh, you don't know shit. I'm like, bro, watch my other shit. Watch my other shit. I took the L, but watch my other shit. What do you think about Piers Morgan's discussion with Andrew Tate? Okay, so there's more guys, more people in here, so I'm going to discuss that again. I actually discussed it at the very beginning, or towards the beginning of this podcast. Piers Morgan had an agenda, right? He wanted to portray Tate as this malevolent being, this online social media entity, which I think was very disingenuous of him, very ratty. I think one of the worst moments, like I said earlier, was when he tried to paint the narrative that Tate supports Alex Jones' Sandy Hook fucking conspiracy, which is just very ratty. Like, bro, he went on his podcast. It doesn't mean he coincides and agrees with every single conspiracy Alex Jones has ever spewed out of his mouth. Come on, man. That's extremely ratty, and that's extremely disingenuous. That's extremely low-blowing. That's fucked up, So I think that was fucked up. But to give him credit, Morgan did acknowledge that Tate does have good views. And now Tate defended himself pretty well. He wasn't perfect in the interview. There's a couple times I was like, okay, Tate, like saying that clinical depression doesn't exist. He should have debated more logically. He has an ego. He didn't want to concede. He should have said this instead. He should have said, clinical depression exists, but it's something that's curable. It's not something that should be labeled and just deem yourself as fucked for the rest of your fucking life. That's dangerous, right? To say, oh, you have clinical depression, your life's over. You're fucked. You're going to be depressed for the rest of your fucking life. There's nothing you can do to improve it. Tate should have said that you can improve it, that you can fight against it. He's right about that. Doctors will diagnose this shit, right? Because it's real shit. But you can fight it. You can fight it. Thousands of people have, because of Tate, thousands of people have gotten better and almost on the other side of the spectrum now. They're living better, more fruitful lives. That's what he should have said. He shouldn't have said clinical depression doesn't exist. That's like saying obesity doesn't exist. It's a medical diagnosis that, the world of academia has extracted from observational evidence. So you can't really say it doesn't exist. That I was like, okay, Tate, calm your ego down, brother. You're wrong here. All right, you're wrong here. Morgan's right. No. But I see where he was going with it. I could see where his mind was at. I could see what he was saying. Right. But yeah, so overall, Morgan was ratty, but had his good moments. Tate did pretty well defending it. I admire his conviction. He didn't take back his realistic perspective on dating and shit like that, which I highly respect. But overall, Morgan did a very poor job interviewing him. I interrupted him constantly. I was like, dude, is he going to be able to fucking speak, or are you just here to shit on him? The fuck did you bring him on for? So overall, entertaining. A+ as far as that. But very bad interviewing on Morgan's part. Very bad. So towards the end, he kind of got off from it. I still say Andrew Tate not apologizing for what he said back then. That was cold. Yeah, that was cold. He said he would rephrase it, but he's not apologizing for the actual premise that's trying to be relayed, which I agree with. Most of his premises are correct. He was right. He might have said it in a very fucked up way sometimes, but his premise still holds. So I do fuck with him for that. Did you get the adults kid meal at McDonald's? No, but I've heard it's actually not bad. I heard it's McDonald's food, but I heard it's not bad. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna try it. I don't really eat bad in general. Maybe I'll just try it. I eat pretty clean these days, but trying to release my inner Seth the programmer. And that the lifting and eating healthy journey. So with prep time, do you think you would say you would win? Would you say you're black? Get it? It's a play on Batman. Oh, okay. With prep time, do I think I would beat 6? You mean? I think it's I think it's possible. I do think I could beat him. With prep time, it's gonna come down to who can marshal their arguments better, right? And I do think I'm pretty competent in that department. I do think I'd give him a run for his money, and I do think there are conditions in which I would win, which I would triumph over him. But he's very good. It's not easy to beat him. Not easy to beat him at all. I think he's a very good debater. So, but I do think I could beat him. So, as I improve as well. I'm guaranteeing he's improving as well. I guarantee he's training all the time in that hyperbolic time chamber. Training, grinding, but so am I. So it's competition. That's what I would say about it. He got me though. Got me fair and square the first time. It's 1-0 right now. Straight up 1-0. Got me. W moment for 6. L moment for me. I gotta take it on the chin. So, thoughts on the Jeffrey Dahmer show on Netflix, or just Jeffrey Dahmer in general? Great question. You reminded me. You asked really good questions. Shout out to you, brother. That deserves A. All right, so let me continue on. Jeffrey Dahmer. The show, the glorifying of a piece of shit that fucked up a bunch of guys, right? A bunch of homosexuals, and chopped them into fucking pieces and put them into fucking bins. The fucking glorification of that is fucking disgusting, bro. You motherfuckers are glorifying this piece of fucking shit, auctioning his fucking glasses like they're some sort of fucking prize when he's a fucking sack of shit. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's how you know social media is fucked up. That's fucking disgusting, bro. He's a piece of fucking shit. That's how he should be portrayed. And he died in prison, rightfully so. He got his ass whooped. He got his face bashed in by a guy that was tired of him playing fucking games. Jeffrey Dahmer is a piece of fucking shit. There's nothing righteous or nothing to extrapolate from his pathetic life that should be revered or implemented in your own life. I don't want to hear this excuse that, it's because of his childhood. It's bullshit. He's a grown-ass man, and he was clearly mentally competent. He had these elaborate plans to fucking drug the guys he did. He's a piece of fucking shit. And I think he's fucking disgusting. So, I think the documentary was very telling, and it has made me despise him even more. I don't glorify him. I don't think he's a fucking some sort of anti-hero. Whatever the fuck these people say on these social media platforms is fucking disgusting, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? What the fuck is wrong with you? To me, that's a real problem. Ted Bundy, Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, all these fucking pieces of shit. Nothing revering about them. Nothing. They're scum of the fucking earth, bro. They are fucking disgusting. Disgusting. So, even if it's a game, like, is that really funny? Saying that Jeffrey Dahmer is a G or whatever the fuck they say on these fucking platforms, bro. Fucking pathetic. I'm sorry. Jeffrey Dahmer, so let's break down his mentality from what I know at least. So let's talk about his mentality. He grew up being taught by his fucking shit father how to kill shit. I don't know why the fuck his dad would do that. What, did he not expect to create a fucking monster in the process? He would teach him how to kill animals and how to fucking dissect them. Like, bro, you're teaching him how to kill. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's what I would say. But continuing on, he bred a fucking serial killer. Fun fact, his dad, when he was talking to him when he got caught, he said something along the lines of, you know what? I have these thoughts too, man. I've thought of killing people too. Why would the fuck would you tell your son that, man? I think his dad is a little fucked up too. He didn't kill anyone, but there's something going on there, bro. Maybe it was a genetic predisposition. Maybe not that that's an excuse for his disgusting behavior. But so that was interesting. His mentality. I think he had abandonment issues, right? Because his parents would constantly fight and leave each other and fucking scream at the top of their lungs in front of him. He would get bullied as a kid. He was fascinated with death, like I said, because of his father encouraging that. Continuing on, his when he got caught, he admitted it. He's like, I did it, So at least he did that. At least he's not a fucking fake self-righteous fucking shit face like fucking John Wayne Gacy, who would pretend that he was like this morally righteous being. He would be on interviews incarcerated and saying shit like, "Oh man, these whatever he was talking about, these like political aspects, like these left wing guys are really fucked up. I'm like, you have bigger fish to worry about than fucking the left wing political spectrum, you fucking asshole. But Jeffrey Dahmer died a brutal death. He got his ass beat by this guy because apparently Dahmer would instigate the prisoners and be like, oh yeah, you see this chicken bone? This is the rib of someone that I fucked up. And then one guy, I forgot his name. I should remember his name to give him some credit. I think he had like a life sentence. That guy was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I think the last thing he told Dahmer was, I think he asked Dahmer a question, and Dahmer was like, I was kind of sorry. I think the last words he said to Dahmer was like, oh, you're gonna be sorry today, motherfucker. And then he killed him. He beat the fuck out of him and he killed him. Beat his face in to the point where the coroner was like, oh, he's unrecognizable. That's what the coroner said apparently, which he deserved. Every inch, every ounce of that he deserved. So fuck Jeffrey Dahmer. Interesting mind, but disgusting mind at the same time. Yeah, that was my tangent because that really pissed me off seeing that disgusting glorification. Now that's something you shouldn't glorify. Fuck that. That deserves a
Stupid.
And there's my rant. If you guys want to. By the way, folks, if you guys ever want to clip what I say, feel free to. You can even monetize it, whatever. I know Seth has like a Seth Highlights channel. I know Six does as well. If you guys ever want to, catch a clip, post it, and just whatever, I'm all for it. If anything, it'll help me out too. We all win. So I'm all for everyone making a bag. If you ever want to, and make a Jay the Great's Highlights channel or Lowlights channel, go ahead. Yeah. Continuing on. Are you into true crime? I think I am pretty intrigued by the legal system. Laws. Like, what are laws? Why are they constructed the way they are? What's the moral compass for these laws? So yeah, I am. Very much so. Cooking or baking? Cooking, let's say. Baking has more negative connotations, like cakes and shit. It's unhealthy. Genos versus Cell Saga Android 1718. Give me a second. I don't think I'm not that familiar with One Punch Man, so I couldn't really give you an answer. But for the sake of answering it, let me go to Versus Wiki so I can kind of get a gauge of their power level his power level. Let's see here. Saitama, Genos, One Punch Man. Whoops, this is not Versus Wiki. Wrong place. Let's see here. Fuck. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to find the right page here. Where are you? Alright, look a little longer. If not, I'll try to. Genos versus Wiki. Give me a second, folks. So I kind of do want to see what he scales. I could make an argument and just say, well, obviously once Saitama doesn't even scale to fucking Goku remotely, so Genos probably loses to current Android 1718. But if it's the Cell Saga Android, it changes things. Yeah. I watched the Jeffrey Dahmer movie, dude. At the end of the last episode, they had him like a celebrity. That's fucking disgusting. Yeah, I agree, dude. That's fucking disgusting, bro. By the way, folks, there's more folks in here. Hit the goddamn like button. I really appreciate it. Gets us up in the algorithm, gets more views, more eyeballs, more controversy, more rats. There was more rats today for your entertainment value if you want to go back and see that moment. So, yeah. Thoughts on what will be happening to Venom in the MCU? I want to see a collab with him and Spider-Man, man. It has to happen. Or Deadpool, like it has to happen. He has a lot of potential. He has a lot of potential as a villain, as someone that can be polarizing. So I hope to see him. We have to see Black Suit Spider-Man, but they have to make that work somehow. Definitely got to make that work somehow. So I would hope to see him very much so moving forward. His mom seemed to be psychotic as well. That's what a weird family dynamic they shared. Yeah, it's fucking. They're a fucked up family, bro. Fucked up family. Is there such a thing as destiny and or fate in the past laid out in front of us, or is it just blind faith we seem to adopt? It's a good question. So, do we think that our paths are pre-established by some sort of entity or divine being, or do we think that we have blind faith and hope for the best and hope to, be able to dictate our destiny? I seem to believe, despite religious literature indicating that God was there, God knew your life before you were born. I just can't believe it, man. I think that your ambition and your drive can dictate and change your future. That's one of the things I don't agree with in most religious literature, because we see it every day. We see guys, again, this is all emotionally based. There's no way to prove this. This is all hypothetical, but this is my subjective lens. There's guys that start from nothing, broke as fuck, and they reach the top of the totem pole. They reach the top of the social hierarchy. Like, that's something that was just laid out. And then you have guys that are broke and they die a fucking miserable death. So that's the fucking plan that this divine being established. I just don't believe that. Again, some people might say that's just the way it works. I'm like, okay, whatever. But that's just not what I believe, bro. It's beyond your comprehension. Okay, I guess, bro. Good for you, I guess. But again, it's all subjective. I tend to believe that you can change your fate depending on your mindset, depending on how you want to live your life, etc. What's going on, Miriam? Thanks for coming in. Much love to everyone in the chat. I'm excited to see where the MCU goes this year. I'm beyond excited for Daredevil and Wolverine. Wolverine's interesting. I'm kind of intrigued to see what they're going to do with him exactly. Eventually, Hugh Jackman's going to be too old, so they're gonna have to reintroduce that character with someone. It's gonna be hard to replace that. But I do hope that Hugh Jackman gets a good farewell. A good final moment where he's just the fucking man one last time. One cold moment to really hit it off. I really hope for that. I really hope that takes place. So, as far as Daredevil, there's a lot of potential for him as well. I like his, he gives a good quote. He says, it's not about the skills of a man that makes him dangerous, the ideology. And that's Daredevil. His ideology is what makes him so dangerous. His ambition to make the world a better place. So it's just an interesting observation. It's random, but if Vegeta got the Sharingan and Renegon and Goku had Kurama, who do you think would win in a fight? So if we're talking about equalized stats here, if Vegeta got the Sharingan and Renegon and Goku had Kurama, who do you think would win in a fight? If we're talking about equalized stats, I think Goku, because he would just simply have more chakra, right? If we're talking about equalized stats, if we're talking about like their power levels being different, and the respective amps, that let's presuppose that the amps are similar to that of Naruto itself. I would lean towards Goku either way, because well, there's always the possibility of Vegeta BFRing him with their fucking Renegon, so there's that. But besides that, I think Goku would have the amp, the AP, the durability, etc. to outlast him. So yeah, which would coincide with Goku and Vegeta's differences anyway. That's a good question though. What is the complete timeline for Naruto? Trying to rewatch it and ignore fillers and those filter movies. Any help would be best. Itachi is the best. I agree with that. He is the best. Simply put, let's try to put this in layman's terms and kind of condense it. Naruto is a show about an individual that starts being ridiculed for his curse, which is the Nine Tails. He evolves as a shinobi throughout the shinobi world, right? With there being a worn-torn shithole that they grew up in, essentially. He befriends friends like Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi. He gains mentors. He gains status. He gains legacy. And over time, he must fulfill his destiny, which is to defeat the malevolent beings on Earth, right? And the interesting thing about Naruto is that malevolent doesn't necessarily mean purely evil intent. And Madara is not purely evil. All right, that was the main antagonist towards the end of the anime. So he defeats these obstacles. I would call these villains obstacles, and he continues to evolve, as far as mentality and as far as power scaling. And the whole premise is his hard work and dedication. So that's basically what Naruto is. Oh, shout out to Sean for the $5, brother. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Goated, brother. Goated. Nerfed Accelerator versus White Mass Obito. I don't think I'm familiar with Accelerator, I'm not gonna lie. Also, having your life be ended by serial killers is supposed to be preordained. So many controversies in religion. Exactly. There's always the lack of equity argument. Like, this guy was fucking cut into pieces. This guy is a fucking billionaire. The fuck? Like, what? Why? What's the divine creator's intention for this? Is it because he wants to show that he's all powerful? Like, what the fuck is this? Is this an ego game? You know, it's extremely contentious. That's the problem with religion. You know, that's the problem with religion. So you're exactly right about that. There used to be a god for the storms and the ocean because people didn't understand it was natural forces making these actions exist and not supernatural ones. Precisely. If anything, the most rational argument would be that these forces have been pre-established, and the way it works is very chaotic. You could argue, you know, earthquakes are necessary to release tension between tectonic plates, excuse me. You know, and there's always a purpose for these things, even for hurricanes and all these other natural disasters. I actually took a natural disasters course like a couple years ago. There's always a purpose for them. It releases some sort of pressure. It alleviates some sort of built-up pressure. You know, there's always a fucking purpose that's rationally deduced by, you know, meteorologists and geologists, and you know, there's explanations for a lot of things, but at the same time, there's things that are unknown as well. I meant episode-wise. How should I watch Naruto? Oh, that you would have to go back. I'm not even sure. I think it's like part 1. Yeah, I don't remember the episodes. You can kind of tell though, the way you can get what gives it away is if there's a completely different premise. If you're watching like, you know, the tuning exams and all of a sudden you're seeing some bullshit that has nothing to do with it, it's probably filler, you know. So kind of keep an eye and kind of use intuition is the best way. OG Naruto ends somewhere around 203 episodes. If memory serves correctly. After the fight with Tsuruta Sasuke goes straight to Shippuden. You're probably right on that. I don't remember that. You're probably right though. What's your opinion on last Thursdayism? Let me look that up. Truthfully, I'm not sure what that is. And I can get my thoughts on the premise. Last Thursdayism. Beginning a false creation. Okay. The idea is sometimes called last Thursdaysm by its opponents, as in the world might as well have been created last Thursday. Okay, interesting. What does this exactly entail of? Let me read further. Is the idea that the universe was created last Thursday, but with the physical appearance of being billions of years old. It's also a counter to the creationism theory. Oh, okay, I see. Under last Thursdayism, books, fossils, light already on the way from distant stars, and literally everything is in a state such that they appear much older. Okay, last Thursdayism functions both as a philosophical point in how our observations may not match with reality, and a reductio ad absurdum of the young Earth creationist idea. Okay, you're throwing shots at creationism. Okay, you're throwing shot at last Thursdayism. I see you, Rational Wiki. Throwing shots. Of the Omphalos hypothesis. If the world was created 6,000 years ago, with the appearance of being made billions of years ago, what is there to stop us from claiming that it was made last Thursday? Oh, I see. So it's basically an appeal to ignorance. It's an appeal to ignorance. Slippery slope, brother. You know, I tend to coincide with observational evidence from millennia of some of the best minds in the world. I don't really believe like, oh, that's because that's what we perceive. We don't know any better. Like, again, I do acknowledge epistemic humility because that's important. We must be humble and have humility in our limitations. But at the same time, for us to progress as humanity, we have to acknowledge, you know, centuries of observational evidence and acknowledge that, you know, this is a good idea and that this makes sense. You can't just say, oh man, this fucking does. The world could be created yesterday. We don't fucking know anything. Like, that's an appeal to ignorance, clearly. And I don't coincide with. I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't agree with that ideology. I'll tell you that. So Madara versus Frieza equals stats. Madara. Limbo clones. GG's. OG Naruto ends somewhere around. Okay, I just read that. Oh yeah, Sharingan and Genjutsu as well. Yeah, that would end it. If any Naruto villain had the same stats of Goku, who would be the most interesting to watch him fight? I think Hisame. That's a good pick. Maybe Jugo? Someone that doesn't have many hacks. Someone that's very taijutsu heavy. That would be interesting. Not too hacksy, because then Goku would be at a disadvantage if they're equal stats, right? Because they'd have the advantage as far as arsenal. They'd have a more vast arsenal. Kisame's a good one. Kisame's a good one. It's a good idea. Maybe a Reikage. Like, oh, they're not villains though, are they? A villain. Let's see here. Maybe Obito. That Kami would be a problem though, but he's very like close quarters kind of guy, which is Goku's realm. Yeah. Creationism is based. Young Earth creationism is stupid. Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we talking about here? You know, they say that carbon dating is bullshit. What? What are you talking about? Come on, man. What world are we living in? Are you gonna say that, you know, obesity is bullshit? Or back? This is again back to logic. Logic is pre-established by observational evidence. We gotta believe something. You know what I'm saying? Why did the idea of Joshinism and immortality with Hidan not seem so far-fetched and believable in the story? We've never seen it anywhere else. Why did the idea of Joshinism and immortality with Hidan not seem so far-fetched and believable in the story? Good question. That's a good question, because you're right. We don't see that similarity anywhere else, right? We don't see that until we get to like six past powers, which is ridiculous. So it's like Kaguya and all this other shit. Maybe because the way they portrayed Hidan was very well done narratively. You know, they made him this sadistic, malevolent individual. He's one of the only villains I would argue are like truly sadistic and malevolent, pure evil, just bloodlust. That's all he had, similar to Gaara in Part 1. So this ability kind of really correlated to his type of personality. And this whole religion with the lore that was built with Hidan's personality and the whole lore behind his, you know, immortality ritual, it seemed very polarizing to me personally, and I'm sure to many. So maybe that's why it worked. It might have been a outlier as far as most villains in their abilities, which you're right on. It's definitely an outlier as far as that's concerned. But I think it fit the bill. You know, it fit the bill. So, truly. If Sasuke had Batman's brains and Naruto had Superman's powers, how do you think the story would change? So if Sasuke had Batman's brains, Sasuke would win. Why? Because Batman beats Superman. With prep time, he's fucked. I mean, Sasuke would deduce every minuscule weakness in Naruto's physical capability, his mental capability, his triggers, everything would be deduced because he'd have Batman's brain, and then he would convolute this very specific plan to dispose of Naruto. And Naruto's ridiculous AP and speed and overall superiority physically would not be enough to contend with the very specific plan that was put in place to destroy Naruto. So, and Sasuke has killer intent. He doesn't have Batman's moral compass at this point. He has killer intent. He's gonna kill him almost definitively. So I think that's what would happen. The brain is too much. That Batman brain with prep time, bro. It's GG's. As simple as GG's. So let's see. How power would Shiro? I'm not familiar with Dead Man, so let me let you guys know what I'm familiar with. Naruto, Death Note, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan. Again, that's not really power scaling. It's just more so narrative analysis. Those are I'm very familiar with. Bleach, somewhat. Beginning of Bleach, you can ask me. I can give you an answer. But One Punch Man, I need to catch up. Jujutsu Kaisen, that's the next on the list. So very soon I will be able to speak on that. That's actually very intriguing to me. And all the others to come. What if Obito made Sasuke go with pain to the Hidden Leaf? Made Sasuke go with pain to the Hidden Leaf. Pain would probably there's an argument that it actually would help Naruto, because Naruto seeing Sasuke would amp him, give him a mental amp, and make him say, I have to fucking kill Pain, I have to fucking destroy him. So it might make the Nine Tails come out sooner, if anything. He might say, fuck it, I gotta stop him now. So if anything, it would aid him, or the other side of the coin would be that Sasuke would just simply aid Pain and take down Naruto even further. And Naruto is inferior to Sasuke. He admitted that. He said, I can't beat you without the Bijou. Going back to that rat that I debated on the Collins show, Naruto admitted inferiority to Sasuke. So it would simply make matters worse for him as far as a battle, you know. So, could the mystery gang solve the Kira case? Well, here's a rational argument you could make for him being able to, for them being able to solve it. It's seemingly, at least to my knowledge of Scooby-Doo, they seem to solve every case, to my knowledge. And because of that, because they have a damn near 100% success rate, because of the empirical evidence provided, they might be able to possibly take down Kira. Now, here's the counter to that. The cases are much more simple than that of Kira. Kira is beyond that of anything, at least to my knowledge, that Scooby-Doo and company has tried to solve. Kira is beyond that. His intellectual capability is beyond that of any dumb guy that wears a mask or whatever bullshit they solved. And that would be enough to conclude that the mystery gang would probably be fucked up. They'd probably get their names written in the death note and they would die. So I kind of believe the latter would happen. So what if the Venom symbiotic was in Naruto and got on Sasuke Part 1 when he was training in Kakashi during the Chunin exams? That's an interesting one. Now, the best way to approach this obviously would be like trying to give a numerical value as far as the power amp that the symbiote gives. It's hard to deduce. Obviously, again, with comic books, their composite characters they're fucking damn near like endless versions of these characters, especially classic ones like Spider-Man. But let's say for the sake of this argument and this discussion, maybe we could talk about the movie, which is what most people know about, the Spider-Man 3 movie. He went from, I feel like everything increased when he was Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man. His tenacity, not just his physical attributes, his tenacity, his strength, his speed, but to kind of quantify how much is difficult. It seemed like a significant amp. He was doing shit that he fucking ripped what was it called? The sewer entrance right off the ground, which I don't think Spider-Man could have done in the past. Maybe he could, but it doesn't seem like that's something he would even do. That's not even in character. I would say the amp is significant, so I'll do more so of a qualitative assessment, not quantitative, because that's impossible. I can't give a number without watching the movie and like trying to deduce calculations, which I can't do right now clearly. I would say Sasuke it's safe to assume that his amp would be at least the level of the curse mark, maybe greater. So I think he would probably fuck up Gaara, and arguably, if the amp is big enough from your perspective, fuck up Gaara even when he rampages, and he would have been needing Naruto's help. So that's probably what would happen if you presuppose the amp is that big and that vast. Right, so reminds me of the old theory that we could all be brains in a jar and everything we interpret is just electric signals. That's an interesting theory. I mean, hey, theoretically it could be possible. Do I think it's probable from my subjective lens? No. If Jeffrey Dahmer's brain was preserved for science, what do you think scientists would have discovered back then with personality disorders and traits and how they correlate with brain function? Interesting. The brain is seemingly a very intriguing organ. Now, I'm not very vastly knowledgeable on the brain, but I know that pathways, the way that neural networks are constructed in the brain, seemingly, I'm not a neuroscientist, but it seems like they're able to deduce like patterns, and they're able to deduce your personality based off these things, based off these patterns that they see in the brain. So maybe they would be able to deduce what caused this trigger in him, or gave him this fixation on fucking chopping fucking people up and fucking eating them. I think they'd be able to extrapolate that. If anything, they probably already have, to be honest with you. But the tough part about the brain, at least to my knowledge, is that you have to be dead for them to really be able to make a clear analysis of the brain. Like a good example is in football, CTE. They can't really test that or really even catch that until you're dead and gone, like Aaron Hernandez, which is another example. So I think that they will definitely be able to. The tough part is, again, you have to be dead for them to be able to catch this, at least to my knowledge. Maybe there's technology now that allows them to be able to tell now. I wouldn't be surprised. If they are, then Jeffrey Dahmer's brain would be very, very valuable in that realm, right? In the crime realm, and being able to predict, like, this guy's going to be a danger to society based off the scans of his brain, And I think that's very interesting. If they're able to catch that and stop mass murders, I mean, shit, that's fucking saving everybody and helping everybody, Allegedly, Velma is now considered LGBTQ. Oh, god damn. Why does this even matter at all? Exactly. That's my point. Why are they having to include this crap with a character in the first place? Precisely. What the fuck is the matter? What fucking sexual orientation she is? Isn't the whole premise of Scooby-Doo to fucking solve crimes and cases? The fuck is this? The fuck? Yeah, exactly. Do you think Seth will ever debate again? Good question. I think his legacy is intact. I think there would have to be a considerable threat to his legacy for him to debate, which currently there's no one big enough and talented enough in the anime community for me to say he would want to come out and defend his legacy, defend his position. There's no one that's high enough in the totem pole, like subscriber number wise, popularity wise, talent wise, to where I would say it would get him up in the morning for a debate. So I would say maybe in the future, if someone rises through the ashes of the debate community and rises in reputation and in lore, he might be willing. That's if he doesn't retire before that happens, which he said he will in the next 2 years or some shit, which I hope he doesn't, because he's one of the greats. If Orochimaru was Kage instead of Minato, how do you think the story would change? Oh god, that would be fucking crazy. I think since Orochimaru would get everything he wanted, he would start to be a war monster like Danzo. He would do some fucked up shit. He would probably use his power to his advantage. He'd probably experiment on fucking people with Kekkei Genkai. He would make, the Leaf bureaucracy and the Leaf Jonin do his bidding, and eventually there would be a revolt. I don't think they would even listen to him. Someone that tyrannical, they're not gonna. Do you ever see Kakashi listening to fucking Orochimaru's fucking commands? Come on, fuck no. Or someone like my guy going like, all right, I'm gonna bring this this Genin to you so you can experiment on his body, so you can extrapolate some new ability. Fuck no, So no, I think it would be a fucking shit fest, and I think he would be overruled. He would be overthrown, and there would be riots, and there would be a coup d'état against the very Leaf bureaucracy. If that ever happened, that'd be a fucking shit show. It'd be worse than Danzo, arguably. If they studied his brain, there were possibly an abnormality in his prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is involved in one's decision-making, social behavior, etc. I would love to see the abnormalities in that. Same thing with Swag. Swag is not so much of a debater. I think he is a good debater, but that's not so much his forte. That's more so him doing it for fun. I think he did well against the guys he has debated, like Afro Senju and what's the other guy's name? Kabuki. Him and Six did well. He is a good debater, but that's not really his thing, I'd say. Venom in the comics is on the same level as Spider-Man, but superior with shape-shifting abilities. The weakness. That's right, fire and sound. Forgot about that. I mean, if we're going based off that version of Venom, then essentially there is no amplification, right? Spider-Man gets no boost from becoming Black Spider-Man. That shit. If that's what we're presupposing. Possibly a chemical imbalance due to his mother's ingesting so many drugs during it. That's actually a good argument. That is very, very possible. It's very, very possible that all these drugs caused a chemical imbalance. Yeah, caused a calibration in what was once a normal brain. Now it's a messed up, chemically imbalanced brain. That's a good argument. Yeah, definitely. That probably definitely contributed. And then plus his environment. Yeah, so that's the perfect storm right there. The perfect storm. Also, one's ability to show empathy, which he clearly lacked. That's a good indicator. Empathy. All right. If you see a guy that's a sociopath that doesn't give a fuck about anything, then there's probably some demons in him that could be problematic to society. I think I could catch Seth if I debated him. Seth is probably the best anime debater I've ever seen. The best anime debater I've ever seen is Seth. His ability to adapt to new premises that are thrown at him to counter his arguments is very, very good. Very good. It's the best I've ever seen. It's very hard to counter that guy and to actually catch him slipping. You think Mitsuki and Sarada will ever be relevant? And how do you think the writer should go about it? It's all about building, first, the appeal to emotion. There has to be missions that we kind of gravitate towards and we say, okay, the stakes are high here. And the stakes have to be high enough to where we're like, okay, Mitsuki and Sarada got to step up and really prove their worth to us, to the Shinobi world, to the Hokage. If that can happen successfully, then that would really add. What I think really added to their lore was when they fought Boro. They all worked in conjunction, and Sarada had a pretty impressive moment, not just power scaling wise, but I think narratively. I think it was very, very admirable moment, and it added to her appeal as far as a character and her development. And she was more respected by the power scaling community. I mean, she fucking blitzed Boro with a fucking Chidori, who has a war potential of Hokage Naruto. That's fucking very telling. Mitsuki as well. They need more moments like this. They need more missions where everything's on the line and they have to show up, you know? And that's what I think will build their lore. I like Sarada more than I liked Sakura at her age. Much more. Sarada is much more admirable and honorable. So, yeah. Alright, folks. The last thing I remember about Sarada was she wanted to go be Hokage. After that, there was just minus the Boro stuff. Exactly. Yep. There hasn't been much since, or in between those moments. Alright, folks. About 15 more minutes. Again, you guys are all fucking goated. Unless someone donates, you know, a nice chunk, then we shall continue the show for a longer period of time. But 15 more minutes if that doesn't take place. Again, all you guys that donated are fucking goated. Appreciate all you folks. And make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. You know, let's try to get this podcast to 30 plus fucking likes, man. You know, one of the podcasts hit like 29, 30. That really gets us up in the algorithm. Gets more eyeballs on these, you know, these discussions and builds interaction. So, yeah. The reference to Spider-Man's powers. He can take punches from Hulk, dodge lasers, pure reaction time, spider sense, and his power is enough to throw a train. He's very powerful. Yeah, I agree, definitely. Seth would make a great lawyer. Oh, dude, he'd be a fucking spectacular lawyer. He'd be a hotshot lawyer at some law firm. He'd be fucking O.J. Simpson's lawyer, Rob Kardashian type level lawyer for sure. Any more death battle reactions? Oh, actually, thanks for reminding me. It's tough to do those because I did get hit with a strike on one of them for some bullshit. But I do plan on doing more. Obviously, being much more cautious and not if there's any kind of threat of strike, then I won't post it. But yeah, I do plan on doing more death battle reactions, and maybe even adjusting the way I react to those to avoid strikes on the channel. Seth would be the lawyer. Exactly. We do Chuck reactions. Yeah, I do plan on doing some Chuck reactions in the future. Maybe his comic book stuff. I am very interested in that. I want to see how he scales that. Learn more about comic book scaling as well. So yes, I do plan on doing Chuck reactions as well. Alright, folks, any and all questions are welcomed. Political, anime, IRL, controversial, conspiracies, and you know, if Naruto had Captain America Super Soldier formula, about the same level as Spider-Man, and Sasuke had Iron Man's intellect, how do you think the story would change? Man, that intellect is a big just advantage. Sasuke with Iron Man's intellect. Now we gotta presuppose that they're living in the Shinobi world clearly, so he's not gonna have fucking Iron Man suits. Let's see. How would I say this would go? Let's think here. So, with Iron Man's intelligence, Iron Man has very good intuition. He maybe it's not Batman level of prep time ability, but he's able to really have some great intuition and make some great adjustments ahead of time when he's battling. So his technological feats just illustrate and illuminate his ability to have intuition and to induce moments of peril, which is why especially in the MCU defeating Thanos is all because of his ability to have induction and intuition. Because of that, let's say that Sasuke is inferior. Let's just go to the second argument. He's inferior in terms of AP and in terms of physical attributes. He would concoct a sort of curse mark that is so vastly aiding that I think it would close the gap or maybe make him superior to that of Naruto. I think he would go the curse mark route. He'd be more than smart enough for it. I mean, this fucking Iron Man has constructed some beyond human capability type technological innovations, and I think Sasuke would do the same thing in the Shinobi world. Curse marks, cells, Hashirama cells. He would look outside of the box, and he would fuck up Naruto. I think intellect is a vastly advantageous trait to have, especially when you have that level of intelligence. Like someone like a fucking Iron Man or a Batman. We're talking about the highest intelligence in all fictional based reality, besides like omnipotent beings. They're damn near close to that because of their feats. Batman especially. So that would be my deduction. Thanks for the stream. Of course, brother. Thank you all for joining, man. You guys are all fucking goated. I appreciate that, man. I want to figure out how to get Batman out of reversal so I can troll some people in debates. Let's see here. Out of reversal is difficult. But here's an argument you could make based on an intelligence feat that he had against Brainiac. He outsmarted a 12th level intellect that basically has the knowledge of the universe in the palm of his hand. So he transcends that, and you could argue, well, his intelligence transcends universal, hence out reversal. I mean, that's fucking very ratty, but he could use it. I'm sure a comic book enthusiast could probably debunk it, but if you're debating a casual, I mean, it's going to be hard to debunk. Batman kicked the Spectre. There's another one. Yeah. Have you put out your debate with Six? I haven't seen it. It's out. I forgot who posted it. Some guy, one of like Six's dudes, posted it. It's very uneventful, and it's me taking an L. So if you want to see me in a different light, actually losing, unprepared, check it out. Also, the same question before, but Sasuke has a Hulk transformation in Naruto at Thor's hammer. Who do you think would win? The thing about Hulk's transformation, if we presuppose that the amp is equivalent to that of Hulk's, it's boundless. I mean, the stronger he gets, the madder he gets, the stronger he gets. So eventually, I believe Naruto would be overpowered unless theoretically Naruto could one-shot Sasuke before he gets to that level of durability and uses like whatever fucking Thor's most powerful. He has like a powerful ability that can actually crack a Celestial's armor. If he could use that ability quickly, he might be able to kill Sasuke before he gets to that level of durability. Because I would argue Hulk, as he gets stronger, all his physical attributes increase as a byproduct. His strength, clearly, his speed, his durability, everything, his stamina, everything just increases vastly as he gets madder and madder and madder. So it'd be the sake of Naruto beating Sasuke to the punch and killing him while he's still relatively weaker. I would say that. Priest channel, there we go. It's on Priest channel, yeah. I gotta avenge that loss, man. It's not a good look. Not a good look. That was an L. And it was an L moment. I gotta redeem myself eventually. Which is why it's an outlier when scaling Batman. Okay. What's the difference between boundless, universal, out reversal, 60, yada yada? I want to get into scaling, but I have another idea where how you quantify things like that or identify that. So to be precise, let's actually look this up. Because I could give an idea, but I feel like Versus Wiki really puts a nail in the coffin to these things. So let's get specific. I would argue the higher the totem pole you go, the more wonky it gets, by the way. So let's start with, let's see here. So Versus Wiki doesn't even really classify out reversal. It has high hypoverse, low hypoverse, infinitesimal. Okay. Let's look at the higher ups. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Let's look at low hypoverse level. Characters who demonstrate power equivalent to destroying, creating a 0D level construct of any size, or 3 levels of infinity, degrees of reality, fiction, transcendence, or similar beneath a 3D reality. Okay. This tier also includes characters who are vastly below this level, and all characters beneath this tier's requirements in any significant way will still be at this tier. So it seems very ambiguous to reach this level, but basically, it seems to me, from what I can extrapolate, being vastly inferior to 3D, and seemingly be at such a high dimension that you're at a 0 dimension level, apparently. Alright, so there's infinitesimal, right, which is the highest tier on Versus Wiki. Null jewel value available. This tier pertains to characters who can destroy or affect the whole structure of a lower dimensional universe, of lower layers, levels of reality. Please note that existing as a drawing or being made of data information is not to be ranked at this tier, as such beings are still 3-dimensional but on an incredibly small scale. This tier is broken into the following sub-tiers. So please note that existing as a drawing or being made of information is not to be ranked at this tier. Interesting. So are they implying that all fictional based realities are not possibly infinitesimal? because they're not three-dimensional in our real reality. I'm not sure what they mean by that. They should, in my opinion, Versus Wiki should elaborate more. These seem very vague to me. So, high hyperversal. Characters who demonstrate power equivalent to destroying, creating extensionally inferior 2D level constructs of any size, of one level of infinity degree or reality fiction, transcendence, or similar beneath a 3D reality. They're emphasizing 3D reality here. To me, it seems very vague. So, to answer your question, I would do a lot of... So, the best way, because they're trying to, like, correlate our real reality, apparently, at least from what I can extrapolate, to fictional-based realities, I would just read more about multi-dimensions and read about higher dimensions and kind of extrapolate what they mean in our real world and then apply it to fictional-based reality. That's what I would say. That would be my advice. Because it seems very ambiguous on Versus Wiki, to be quite honest. Alright. Continuing on. Tier 11 is the weakest. Is it? It's tier 11. Infinitesimal. Tier 1 is simply extra dimensional. What on earth? Maybe I miscalculated here. Hypoverse. I must have been thinking of hyperverse. Let's look up hypoverse. Hypoverse. Definition. I see. So now it makes sense. Hypoverse in basement reality, but is on a smaller scale than the first basement level itself. What does hypo mean? Okay. Underneath, beneath. Oh, interesting, interesting. So I was reading it backwards. Interesting. Okay. So let's read the tier 0. I immediately correlated to hyperverse. This is hyperverse. Okay. Transcendent. So what's the highest? This is the highest. Boundless. Characters who can affect objects which completely exceed the logical foundations of high 1A. With high 1A being characters who can affect objects that are larger than the logical framework defining 1A and below can allow and as such exceed any possible number of levels contained in the previous tiers, including an infinite or uncountably infinite number. Practically speaking, this would be something completely unreachable to any 1A hierarchies. A concrete example of such an object would be an inaccessible cardinal, which in simple terms is a number so large that it can be reached by smaller numbers. As such, to be assumed to exist in order to be made sense of or defined in a formal context. Okay. We went on quite the tangent there. The inverters we could come out and say they ignore certain feats. I thought was supposed to be unreliable. I think yeah, you should take it with a grain of salt. I'd say Versus Wiki. I think Seth pointed out some flaws in the Dragon Ball Versus Wiki. All right, folks. About 5 more minutes, unless someone scales. Excuse me, unless someone donates. I have scaling on my mind. Any final questions and thoughts? 5 more minutes, folks. Been over the 3-hour mark. That deserves a... I should hit the sub button, folks. Any final questions? Let's see here. Versus Battle Wiki has post-crisis Superman only solar system level. Wow, it's kind of interesting. Why do you think is Minato's maximum destructive potential or destructive capacity? You know what? For reference, let's see where Versus Wiki has him. Versus Wiki. Let's see. Power stats. Attack potency. Whoops. It's the wrong page. Let's see here. So first, it's important to distinct the differences between destructive capacity and attack potency. Right? I think that's the important part. So let's look at the formal definitions. Destructive capacity is the term used to determine the amount of damage a character can produce. It is normally the deciding factor of versus matches, along with speed. It is measured in units of energy. So this is the implied destructive capacity. Attack potency, an alternative term for destructive capacity, which has more direct meaning. The destructive capacity that an attack is equivalent to. I see. A character with a certain degree of attack potency does not necessarily need to cause destructive feats on that level, but can cause damage to characters that can withstand such forces. Okay, let's read that again. Does not necessarily need to cause destructive feats on that level, but can cause damage to characters that can withstand such forces. Alright, so destructive capacity seems like what you're possibly capable of, right? Attack potency is more so what you display and what kind of damage you can cause to a character, right? With those respective attacks being able to cause that kind of damage. Alright. So, Minato, what's his destructive capacity? I don't think it's that high. He's not really known as a guy that, you know, a powerhouse. Thanks for the $5, Dragon Drakage. Thanks for the stream. You make okay background noise. Oh, you mean the soundboard? Appreciate that, brother. Just for you. Goated, brother. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the donation, brother. But to scale Minato's destructive capacity, I don't think it's that high. In fact, I don't think that's high at all. I think, well, the best argument you can make is he was able to cut through one of Killer Bee's tentacles, the 8-tail tentacles. And the 8-tails is obviously a very durable entity, being able to go toe-to-toe with the third-rate Kage. That can give you some idea of his destructive capacity. I had to put my finger on it. I wouldn't say mountain level, right, to kind of start somewhere. It doesn't reach that level. Definitely not base Minato, at least. City level, I would say he's in the realm of, like, to put my finger on it. Try to rationally deduce this. Maybe like anywhere from city block level to city level. I think city level would be a high ball for someone like him. He's more of a hacks character, right? He takes you out with speed and precision rather than destructive capacity. That's the way I would look at him. Someone like Naruto, I mean, that motherfucker's AP now. I mean, a Baryon mode is, or DP, whatever. It's very high. So, thank you again, W Stream. I appreciate you, brothers. All you guys are fucking goated. All you guys deserve another one. Appreciate you. Alright. Only system ain't no way, especially with what's happened to him recently. I agree. Superman, even from what I know, not an expert, he seems to scale above that commonly. Which would you pick? 3 sword style or black leg martial arts? Look it up quick. I still love seeing me realize their favorite verse. Doesn't have anything as weird as this. 3 sword style or black leg. Okay, let's see. 3 sword style. Let's see what that is exactly. The unique style of triple wielding swordmanship where the practitioner wields 3 katanas, one in each hand and 3rd in the jaw. Oh, who's this from? What is this from? One Piece. Okay. And then the other would be black leg martial arts. What does that entail of? Okay. The black leg style resembles a hybrid martial arts which combines Brazilian capoeira, French savate, and Korean taekwondo. Also from One Piece. Looking at it from outside in, right, as an outsider, because I'm not a One Piece aficionado or anything, I would say it seems that the more practical one is a black leg style. You don't have to keep something in your mouth the whole time. Again, I mean, maybe the most proficient would say otherwise, right? The most proficient people that use the 3 sword style. But from my eye looking, my ignorant eye looking in, I would say the former. Excuse me, the latter. So if you had to pick which ability you would want, telekinesis, invincibility, super speed, super strength, flight, or regeneration. Probably telekinesis, because I could do anything I want. But then again, there'd be some detrimental effects. I would know all the criticisms of myself, because I could read their minds and shit. Telekinesis, be able to manipulate matter as well. If we're presupposing that telekinesis includes mind control. If it doesn't, if it's telekinesis just like manipulating matter and manipulating the environment around you, maybe super speed. I mean, regeneration's a good one too, but super speed, I mean, there's so much you could do with that. Flight, I mean, the best thing you could do is fly around the skies, People would look at you as a fucking weirdo, like some foreign object in the sky. Invincibility, I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want, jump off fucking mountains and not die. I mean, you'd be heat on, essentially. And then super strength, I mean, in the real world, I mean, you could use it for not much as far as, like, improving your life, maybe saving lives. Is immortality overrated? To some degree, yeah, because you outlive everyone you care about. You have to reintroduce new relationships into your life and shit, so yeah, it's overrated. Brother, why are you ducking noodles? Dude, I don't give a fuck about noodles or what he says on Discord. My life goes outside of Discord. I'm not a little rat in a rat hole that all he cares about is his Discord reputation. I don't give a fuck. So he can keep saying whatever he wants. He's a waste of time to me. So he can run his mouth all he wants and still live in his little rat hole where he blackballed himself. That's not mine. That's his prerogative. Which one's new ability is cooler in a fight? Ultra Instinct or Ultra Ego? To pick, I'd probably say Ultra Instinct. I had to pick one. I think the abilities, the ability to perceive, attacks ahead of time, I think it's pretty fucking cool. Gojo Simp. What's going on? I mean, you're ignoring me, lol. I don't think I've seen one message from you on here. Out of all known martial arts, which would you like to master? Which one would I like to master? There's so many. I don't know if you would consider wrestling a martial art, but I'll probably say wrestling, because wrestling, at least if you're competing in a mixed martial art event, is one of the most useful, if not arguably the most useful ability in mixed martial arts competition. The ability to dictate where your opponent goes, the ability to manipulate their position. But if it's like street fight, like in the everyday world, probably a striking sort of martial arts that's striking based. Maybe like, let's see, kickboxing's a good one. What else? Muay Thai is a good one as well. So yeah, I would probably say Muay Thai or kickboxing would be my choice. So I think Muay Thai is cool. I agree. I think that'd be a good one as well. And to all of Noodle's little pathetic goons, you can keep coming at me. I mean, I have the timeout button. Makes it pretty simple for me. So you waste your time and I get some entertainment value. So thanks for the added entertainment. So no sweat off my back. I don't give a fuck about Noodles or any of his little goons that come in. So I only debate people with, some self-respect and dignity, not fucking losers that try to do the shit that he did. So all right, folks. Are you actually going to rewatch it? Eventually I will. Yeah, eventually. Let's What's going on, Rishikesh? Thanks for coming in, brother. If I said your name correctly, appreciate it. Equal stats: Batman versus Goku versus Baki versus Superman. PS Superman wins pretty much. All right, folks. Because of all the rats that came in today, make sure to hit the like button. I'll say around a minute more or so if someone wants to donate. And then if not, then I will depart. I hope you guys enjoyed, me putting these losers in their place. It's kind of enjoyable for me. Gives me something to do while we speak. And I know it gives entertainment value as well. So you guys could discuss in, the realms of Discord. So I'm glad I could give you guys that with the goons coming in. I appreciate you guys for coming in and giving me some entertainment value to the stream. Some controversy. There's always nothing wrong with controversy. We have losers that come in and try to do things and end up giving me more entertainment value. So I have no issue shitting on every single one of you that come in and talk shit. So I'm caught up with it and it's pretty good. A friend of mine, he says that it's very good as well. So after the latest movie, Gohan was said to be the strongest warrior. Does that include Broly or exclude him? It would include him. At least Granola out Broly, at least. Thanks again for the amazing stream. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming in. We got to 20 likes. Shout out to you guys, man. Hit the like button one more time if you haven't already. Thanks for all the donation, folks. For all the support over the streams. And I'm going to continue to improve the streams however I can. With the soundboard, add some entertainment value as well. Thanks for all the donations. Again, all support is greatly appreciated. Original content will be more common as well. It doesn't mean that reactions are not going to go away completely, but once I hit 3K, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And to all the haters as well, I welcome your presence. This allows me to shut you down. It allows me to shut you down and get the last laugh. So y'all can run your mouth whenever you want. No sweat off my back. Gives me entertainment value. The guys that I really fuck with are entertained. So I appreciate it. And when I have call-in shows, come in so that I may have a moment with you. But yeah, folks, that's gonna wrap it up. Damn, I'm gonna wait for 1 second. It's all right. It's easy to click timeout. There's only a couple of losers that came in here, so a couple of guys that were coming in, but it's fine. But all right, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like button one more time if you guys haven't already. Hit the sub button if you're new. Keeps the channel growing. And we will catch you in the next one, folks. It's Jay the Great signing out. Peace out, y'all.